Hooyah, Navy! Hooyah, Navy! Hooyah, Navy! It is an honor to be with you to celebrate the 250th year since the United States Navy was officially established. Generations of sailors have kept America free because of their presence on the high seas. Your strength, bravery, and sacrifice inspires us all. The President and I just attended an extraordinary demonstration, an inspiring display of skills that reflects the very best of our Navy. For me, it brought back fond memories of my visit to the USS George H.W. Bush in 2018. I will always remember the pride and professionalism of the sailors I met on that vessel. I witnessed the enduring spirit of America's Navy, which propels every mission and lives on to every sailor who serves. Now, it is my privilege to introduce someone who holds our military close to his heart, not only as the Commander-in-Chief, but as a proud American who believes deeply in the men and women who wear the uniform. Please join me in welcoming my husband, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
God bless the United States Navy. Well, that was good timing, wasn't it? We had to get that right. We had to get that right. But they always get it right. I was just given a display with a wonderful First Lady, the likes of which I think few people have ever seen before. We were a few minutes away, and the display of strength was absolutely incredible. We appreciate it. Thank you, Navy. Thank you very much. And I want to thank our magnificent First Lady for that introduction. People love our First Lady. They do. And let me say to all of the incredible sailors on this pier, it's great to be with the fleet, the fleet. And let's also give a very special thanks to the shipmates who put on that spectacular display of Navy dominance. And that's what it was dominance. And Bravo Zulu, you know what that is? Bravo Zulu, you know, a lot of people don't. That it's a true honor to be here with the thousands of our nation's finest sailors at the largest naval facility in the entire world. It's the largest, and I would say more importantly, it's the best, okay? It's both the Norfolk Naval Base. Thank you very much. The largest, and it's the best. We're gathered on this storied waterfront to celebrate 250 years of strength, tenacity, and unwavering courage by the greatest fighting force even. And that's true. No matter where you go, No matter where you go, no matter what you even think about, there's nothing like the fighting force that we have. Roam the seas, it's called the United States Navy, and there's nothing in the world like it. Nothing, not even close. You read stories, they don't have it. Let me tell you, we check it closely. We check it closely. Docked beside us today are a combined 150,000 tons of pure American naval supremacy, and two colossal reasons why no one should ever want to start a fight with the USA. They won't fight. We're putting out a lot of fights, so do you see that? We're going to be close to number 8. Number 8. We don't want to send you into battle unless it's necessary, right? We're putting out a lot of fires. Maybe some of you will be angry. You'll say, what's he doing? We want to fight. You know what? If we can solve them the way I'm solving them, we solve 7. We have another one that's taken 3,000 years, and we're pretty close, but I don't want to talk about it until it's done. But let's give a big round of applause to the men and women of the majestic USS Kearsarge. Thank you. And let's hear it for the sailors of the USS Harry S. Truman. Those who call this carrier home live by a motto that captures the spirit of America's Navy. It's very simple. The words, give 'em hell, and we do give 'em hell. For 2.5 centuries, that is what every generation of American sailors have done. You've conquered raging oceans and braved ferocious storms to vanquish America's enemies on the high seas and distant shores. You've beaten mighty warships into twisted wrecks of steel. You've splintered vast armadas and sent the mangled pride of empire sinking into oblivion. You've surged the waters thick in danger, blood, brine, and through it all, the United States Navy has kept the stars and stripes soaring high and proud above those big, magnificent waves. You love doing it too. There's not a thing in the world that you'd rather do, is there? Is there? No. I like your life better than mine, I have to be honest with you. Sailing on those beautiful waters all the time, you're so lucky. Because the American sailor never quits, never fails, and never, ever lets us down. They've never let us down. Thank you. Thank you. And we're honored to be joined today by service members representing every part of this great naval tradition. Our incredible surface warriors are the reason America's enemies tremble at the sight of a Navy ship haze gray or underway. The instant U.S. carrier, cruiser, or destroyer breaks across the horizon, every tyrant and adversary on the planet knows their choice is very simple. It's leave America in peace or be blown up in fire and fury never seen before. All over the world, people know of the skill, nerve, swagger, and sheer attitude of the boldest and most daring pilots on the sea, the U.S. naval aviators, and I just got to witness it with Melania. They land screaming jets on pitching decks in the dark of night with no room for error. There's no room for error. The greatest pilots in the world. And while Navy pilots rain down pain from above, the greatest adversaries fear the daring deeds of our silent service below. They prowl and strike from crushing depths, unseen, undetected, and unstoppable. They are our brave submariners. Where are the submariners here? And they are brave. The most lethal weapon in the world, I will tell you, nobody knows where it is and what it carries. There's nothing that carries weaponry like that. And we're 25 years ahead of any other country when it comes to submarines. Nobody's even close. Nobody can match us. No roll call of Navy warriors would be complete without recognizing some of the fiercest and most elite commandos in the history of war. They are the toughest, and there's nobody tougher. There's just nobody. That's what they tell me. There's nobody tougher. Called the Navy SEALs. What do you think about the Navy SEALs? Where are the Navy SEALs? We're not going to mess with the Navy SEALs. They are great. Thank you very much. Incredible people. And of course, our enemies have learned to dread that special cast of warriors who have charged forward almost everywhere America has seized a stronghold or stormed a beachhead. They call themselves the Leathernecks, the Jarheads, the Devil Dogs, but we revere them as the United States Marines. Incredible people. Incredible people. With us today are some of those who have led these exceptional men and women. They've led them like nobody else. And I'll tell you, a person I'm very, very proud of, he has stepped up and he's hitting home run after home run. They love him. I want to introduce again a man who's just exceptional. I'm so happy with this choice. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Thank you, Pete. Doing a job. I said, Pete, what do you think? You know, we used to call it Secretary of War, the Department of War, the War Department. Now we call it Defense. And I don't know, would you ever want to, you know, we won World War I. We won World War II. We won everything in between. We won everything before. And all of a sudden they decide to change the name. They went woke then too, you know. Woke is a long-term word. I said, what do you think about changing it to the Department of War? He said, I love it, sir. And that was about the end of it, right? That was the end of it. Thank you, Pete. Great job. He's a great leader. Also, Secretary of the Navy, a very, very successful man. He gave it all up to do this. And we're designing more ships. We have more ships being built shortly. We're going to have more great ships being built than we've ever had being built in the history of the Navy. John Phelan. John, thank you. Great job, John. He made a lot of money in the private sector, and I said, you want to do this, John? We need a lot of ships, and we need them fast. And he said, I want to do it. He gave up a lot, gave up everything to do this. But he's loving it, and he's doing a fantastic job. Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Darrell Caudle. Admiral, thank you. Great job. Rear Admiral Gavin Duff. And along with so many different people here, they could introduce them all day long. I don't want to do that because we got to get to business, talking a little bit about war and peace. But along with your great officers here at Norfolk Naval Base, Vice Admirals John Gumbleton. John, thank you. Thank you, John. Great. Young guy. You're a young guy. Great. Doug Perry and Rob Goucher. Thank you. And a very special thanks to a man who just got a 93% approval. He runs the Veterans Everything, I call it. He's Veterans Everything. The VA Secretary Doug Collins. He's doing great. Thank you, Doug. Doing a great job. Ambassador Monica Crowley. Monica, thank you very much. A man that everybody loves. He was my doctor in the White House, and I got to know him very well. He was also the doctor for Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And he was the doctor for a man named Bush. And at a press conference, they asked him, who's in the best shape? Who's the healthiest? Who's the strongest? Who's the best physical specimen of the three? He said, that's easy. President Donald Trump. And I said, I love this guy. I said, I love him. Ronnie Jackson, he's now a congressman, as you know. So he was an admiral, he was a chief doctor, he was the whole boss of doctors. And now he's a very, very successful congressman from Texas. Thank you, Ronnie, very much. And I appreciate those words. I'll never forget them. Jen Kiggins, Jen, thank you. John McGuire, Rob Whitman, Dan Crenshaw, Derek Van Orden. These are unbelievable, talented people that are with me, and they fight. Thank you very much, fellas. Thank you. Thank you very much, darling. These are great Congress. I say Congress warriors. That's what you have to be today to be in Congress if you're going to make it. I also want to recognize all of the newly pinned chief petty officers. You got a lot of them here today. I had to approve it. Who recently earned their anchors and now bear their venerable title, Navy Chief. Navy Chief. Thank you, Navy Chiefs. Let's also express the gratitude of our entire nation to every Navy veteran who has come out to honor this big anniversary. We see so many veterans. I saw backstage, I was shaking hands with veterans all over the place. And they are great. And they're respected and they're loved. Thank you very much. Stand up if you'd like. Thank you very much. They're really loved. I saw it backstage. I saw so many veterans, and my hand will never be the same. Thank you very much. A great honor. And a very special thanks to the countless Navy families who support our sailors with such love and devotion. None of what are, and think of this, without them, you wouldn't be celebrating today. Many of you would not be doing very well. Male or female, you wouldn't be doing very well. So we want to thank our family members, right? All of them. Parents, husbands, wives. Thank you. Thank you very much. From the American Revolution until today, the story of the U.S. Navy is a tale of loyalty, sacrifice, and commitment stretching back 250 years. So we're celebrating 250. I almost thought I wouldn't get to do that because I was president in 2016, and then they rigged the election on me. And then we caught him, didn't we? We caught him, but you know, we had to run it again. I ran it again, and I got 250, and I got the World Cup, and I got the Olympics. Can you believe all of it? In my first term, I was the one that got the Olympics. I was the one that got the World Cup. And I said, you know, the sad part is, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't even be invited because it won't be during my term. I would say, if we're a Democrat, I might not be invited. They don't love me exactly too much. And then when this happened, now all of a sudden they got all three. But you know what's the most important? 250 years is the most important, above World Cup, above Olympic. But we got them all coming. And on June 14th, next year, we're going to have a big UFC fight at the White House, right at the White House, on the grounds of the White House. When the Continental Congress formed a fleet of just 2 ships in October 1775, many scoffed at their chances against the most powerful empire on earth. That was the most powerful ever, relatively speaking. We had 2 ships. We had nothing other, but we had great heart. They didn't know the audacity and the grit of the American sailor. They had no idea the war for independence gave us some of the greatest American heroes of all time, including the father of the U.S. Navy, Captain John Paul Jones. You know that. When a far stronger British ship demanded his surrender, Jones yelled back that timeless battle cry right now, "I have not yet begun to fight." Don't ask me for that. Think of that. I could just see it. He's a wise guy. He's asking, I haven't even begun to fight. And he knocked the hell out of him. In the War of 1812, Captain James Lawrence shouted his final words to his crew as blood streamed down from his mortal wounds. "Fight her till she sinks," he yelled. "Don't give up the ship. Don't give up the ship." These are all incredible, very, very famous statements now, with years and time, very famous. Don't give up the ship. I say it all the time. You're a little behind. I say, don't give up the ship, and we win. We all know how to win. Today, that eternal creed is written into the hearts of every sailor in the fleet. America's Navy never, ever gives up the ship, right? We never give it up. Another titan of the early Navy was the great Commodore Arthur Sinclair. He defeated the French in the Caribbean battle. And then he went to work on the Barbary pirates off the coast of Tripoli and raided British forces when they were so powerful in 1812, the War of 1812. He raided them. He was knocking them out one by one. Everyone said, where does this guy come from? And we're all descendants when you think of it. Commodore Sinclair went on to become the commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy. And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for, huh? You may be surprised. It's going to be great. We're going to be here. Generations of the Commodore's descendants have forged their own towering legacies of service in the Navy, and we're joined today by his fifth great-grandson, Commander Link Mustin. Where is Mustin? Commander Mustin, where are you? He's here. Wow, look at this handsome guy. That's good genetics, right? He's got good genes. Thank you very much. Commander, thank you for continuing a family tradition that has endured for 2.5 centuries. Can you believe that, huh? I wonder if they were as good looking as you. I doubt it. You just got better with age, right? Congratulations. Is that young man your boy? Wow. He beat you. They beat you. That's what we want to see. Over the generations, our Navy sailors raised Old Glory above the streets of Veracruz, sent the Spanish fleet to its watery grave in Manila Bay, and buried the vicious German wolfpacks at the bottom of the sea. Those were vicious, vicious wolfpacks. They were brutal. They were hitting us hard, and then we came up with the answer, didn't we? We came up with the way to knock them out, and we were knocking them out so fast they didn't know what to do. It was really the end once we discovered the secret through some brilliant minds. A lot of them are descendants of the people here right now. In every era of conflict, the Navy has never failed to hunt, kill, and to win. Never failed. Never failed. In World War II, Admiral Bull Halsey's motto, hit hard, hit fast, hit often, and that is exactly what the sailors do. One of those warriors was Submarine Commander Eugene Fluke, who sent more Japanese tonnage to the ocean floor than any other man in history. I don't like to talk about it too much now. You know, they've been a nice ally, but anybody from Japan here right now? We'll get off the subject immediately. But think of it, sent more tonnage to this bottom of the sea, one after one. Aboard the famed USS Barb, he destroyed a Japanese tanker and a carrier with a single salvo to his men's chagrin. They were very concerned about it. They didn't think we could do that, and he just knocked them out one after another. And again, torpedoes were flying, but his greatest feat came when he spotted 30 enemy ships at port off the coast of China. You know that, a very famous story. Commander Fluke ordered his men to their battle station, slipped into the harbor, and sank 6 vessels at one time before taking off into the beautiful, wild blue ocean. He received 4 Navy Crosses, the Legion of Merit, and the Congressional Medal of Honor. That was a brave guy. In recognition of the incredible achievements of the USS Barb under his command, this December we will lay the keel of a brand new Virginia-class submarine bearing that same legendary name, and his grandson, Tom, will be there to pick it up. Tom is with us today, and I want to thank you for keeping that great legacy around. Where is Tom? Oh, look, stand up, Tom. Great. Good, Tom. Thank you. That's good. That's good genes too, Tom, isn't it? That's good stuff. Thank you very much, both, for being here. From Midway to the Coral Sea to Leyte Gulf, American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. And at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Maurizio, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk, trained right here. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix manned an amphibious landing craft that did 6 harrowing runs to Omaha Beach. You all know about it. These are all famous fights. He delivered hundreds of American troops into the battle, including his brother Sal, Felix lost so many of his friends that day, but he kept fighting. He kept going out there, getting more soldiers, getting more of everything. He just kept coming. They couldn't stop him. And went on to serve in the Pacific under the great Admiral Nimitz. In February 1945, he spent his 21st birthday landing Marines on the blood-soaked sands of Iwo Jima, one of the bloodiest, toughest battles ever. Historic battle. 6 months later, he was aboard the USS Talladega in Tokyo Bay. When Japan surrendered, they said, I don't think we want Felix hitting us anymore. And he retired as a chief petty officer in 1966. This year, Felix celebrated his 100th birthday, and he is here this afternoon as a living testament to the glory of the United States Navy. Wow. That's great. He looks good. Felix, you look better than I do. I'm not happy about this, Felix. No, they don't want to mess around with him. And Felix, we salute you. Thank you very much. Incredible. 100 years. In Korea, American sailors and Marines carried out the daring landing in Incheon and flew more than 250,000 combat sorties against the enemy. It was an amazing effort. In Vietnam, the Navy unleashed Operation Rolling Thunder and deployed a brand new unit, the Navy SEALs, to tear up Mekong River Delta. Problem with Vietnam, we stopped fighting to win. We would have won easy. We would have won Afghanistan easy. Would have won every war easy. But we got politically correct. Let's take it easy. We're not politically correct anymore, just so you understand. We win. Now we win. We don't want to be politically correct anymore. And history will never forget that it was the SEALs who stormed the compound at Osama bin Laden and put a bullet in his head. Remember that? And please remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete? In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center, so we got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me. You know the old story? They don't give you credit, just take it yourself. And it was the U.S. Navy that dumped his wretched corpse off the decks of the Carl Vinson to sink into the dark abyss. The Navy's central role in the defense of our liberty continues to this day. Just a few months ago, the Ohio-class guided missile submarine played an indispensable part in one of the most spectacular military feats the world has ever seen, the obliteration of Iran's nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer. How did that work out? Pretty good, right? And we shot 30 Tomahawks, you know that. On top of, after the B-2, how about that? The B-2s, what they did, those beautiful flying wings, what they did, they hit every single target they hit. And just in case we shot 30 Tomahawks out of a submarine, every one of them hit too. So I would say Iran was not particularly thrilled. They were going to have a nuclear weapon within a month. And now they can start the operation all over again, but I hope they don't, because we'll have to take care of that too if they do. I let them know that you want to do that, it's fine, but we're going to take care of that, and we're not going to wait so long. It should have been done long before I came along. You know that I had the pilots of the B-2s in my office, the famous Oval Office. I had them in the B-2s. They came in to the White House, and we talked about it. They said, you know, sir, for 22 years, our predecessors and us trained for that hit. For 22 years, they were training to take out the nuclear potential of Iran. He said, but it was only when you came along that we did it. And they were so happy that they did it. But they've been training for that hit for 22 years, but no president wanted to do it. They would have had a nuclear weapon within a month, probably within a month or shortly thereafter. And speaking to them would have been much more difficult. In recent weeks, the Navy has supported our mission to blow the cartel terrorists the hell out of the water. You see that? And you know, there are no boats in the water anymore. We can't find any. We're having a hard time finding them. But you know, it's a pretty tough thing we've been doing, but you have to think of it this way. Every one of those boats is responsible for the death of 25,000 American people and the destruction of families. So when you think of it that way, what we're doing is actually an act of kindness. But we did another one last night. Now we just can't find any. You know, it's the old story. We're so good at it that there are no boats. In fact, even fishing boats, nobody wants to go into the water anymore. Sorry to tell you that. But it's, we're stopping drugs coming into America, if that's okay. We're stopping drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Last year, we lost, I believe, 300,000 people. And that's not talking about the destruction to families. Every one of us knows families that have been destroyed because the son, daughter, even mothers and fathers are destroyed by the fentanyl pouring in and drugs pouring in. Well, they're not coming in by sea anymore, so now we'll have to start looking about the land because they'll be forced to go by land. And let me tell you right now, that's not going to work out well for them either. And it was the Truman Carrier strike group that unleashed American fury on the Houthi terrorists in the Red Sea. And as you know, they settled. But they settled because they made the statement to us, we've never been hit like that ever before. And earlier this year, conducted the single largest airstrike from an American carrier in history. That was the largest ever. I want to express my personal thanks to every single sailor who contributed to these phenomenal victories. We only know victory. We're only going to know victory. We don't want to know the other word. We want to know victory. We're going to have great victories in the years to come. Well, at least for almost 3.5 years, we're going to have great victories. I want to thank a group of women from North Carolina. Look at these great. Will you stand up, please? These beautiful women have followed me. This is number 151. You could call a rally. This is sort of a rally. Let's face it, this is a rally. This is a speech of love. We all love our country. But that group is from North Carolina. They're up to about 151 visits. They have a whole group of them. I never see their husbands. I don't know what's going on with their husbands. I assume, do they still love you, the husbands? Yes, good. But I want to thank you. 151, they've been following me since 2016, and you look even better now than you did then. But I want to thank you very much. It's a really group. They love our country. They like Trump, but you know what they really do? They love our country. And we have the right policy, right? We have policy. We don't want crime. We don't want men playing in women's sports. We don't want transgender for everybody. We don't want to have open borders where millions of people come into our country from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions and insane asylums, drug dealers, murderers. 11,788 murderers were allowed to come into our country. A lot of them are gone. And by the way, Washington, D.C. is a safe place right now. It went from one of the most dangerous cities in our country, can you believe that, to probably the safest, among the safest in our country. Nobody's being hit anymore. It's very safe, and I want to thank you. A lot of the people here have helped. A lot of the people in the audience are people that have straightened them out. It took 12 days, think of that. Now we're in Memphis. We're doing the same thing in Memphis, and we're going to Chicago. You know, we have a governor that thinks it's wonderful when 50 people in a short period of time were murdered in Chicago. Over 200 people were hit. And so we send in the National Guard. You know what? We send in what's ever necessary. People don't care. They don't want crime in their cities. And we're doing it, and we're doing it well. We're doing it like nobody's ever done it before. So I just want to tell you, you're very close to D.C. The restaurants are thriving. The restaurants were dying. They were closing one after another. Now they're thriving. They're opening up beautiful new restaurants. Washington, D.C. is safe. And I even went there and had dinner the other night. And I stood right smack in the middle of the street. Secret Service was thrilled. And I gave a news conference. It's a safe place now. Washington, D.C., it's always going to be. Our nation's capital is always going to be safe. We're never going to let that happen again, what happened there. One of the most beautiful places. We're doing a big beautification program. It'll take me very little, very short, but we're doing a beautification program to go along with the security and safety. We're getting rid of the graffiti, the potholes, the broken medians between roads. We're doing a real job, and you'd be proud of it. I think everybody here is proud of it, frankly. That's our nation's capital, and that has to be clean, beautiful, and safe. The U.S. Navy always stands for America. As your commander-in-chief, I will always stand for you. I promise you that. You know that. That's why you voted for me in numbers that nobody's ever seen before. And I want you to know that despite the current Democrat-induced shutdown, we will get our service members every last penny. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. It's all coming. It's coming. And even more because I'm supporting the across-the-board pay raises for every sailor and service member of the United States Armed Forces. But we have to take care of this little gnat that's on our shoulder called the Democrats. They want to give all of our money to illegal aliens that pour into the country. And, you know, I have a bigger heart than they do. But the problem is when you do that, they come in by the millions. Everybody wants that, so you can't do it. But I've also pledged the largest ever investment in our military's history. We're spending over $1 trillion. We've never had anything like that before. $1 trillion on our military, and that includes, along with your Secretary of the Navy and Pete Hegseth, we're going to be building lots of ships and doing a lot of things that you haven't seen happen for 35 years. We'll soon revitalize our once great shipyards with hundreds of billions of dollars in new investments and people coming from all around the world, and they're going to build ships in America. We want them built in America. And as I told our generals and admirals last Tuesday, we are getting wokeness the hell out of our military. It's gone. It's really gone. I don't know that it was ever really here. I think some of the top people had it. I knew a few of them that they were major losers. But they were losers. Unlike our great general, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who may be here, Dan Raisin Cain. You know Raisin Cain? When I heard his name, I said, that's the guy I'm looking for. But he's been an amazing warrior, and you know he was the one headed up the attack on Iran. And everything he's touched has turned out great. He knocked out ISIS. So I was told it would take 4 to 5 years to beat ISIS. When he came on board, he did it in 4 weeks. We knocked him out in 4 weeks. 100% of the ISIS caliphate. Is Dan Cain here? He is, you know why? Because he's working. That's the one thing. We don't have to worry about him. But he is a fantastic man. That's the man I wanted right from the beginning. I said, if I ever do this again and if I could get lucky enough to win, because we have a base like nobody in history has had, I said, I'm going to pick Raisin Cain as the chairman. And that's what we did, and he's been incredible. We will not be politically correct when it comes to defending American freedom. That's why we have renamed the Department of Defense at Department of War, as I said, and we have changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. That was easy. That was an easy one. You know, for years I've looked at it, and I added it up, and I figured we have 92% of the frontage. I say, how come we call it the Gulf of Mexico? I mean, I wouldn't say that Mexico is thrilled with me, but what are you going to do? It's the Gulf of America, and I love it now. I was watching the other night a report, and they said very routinely, in the Gulf of America, this is the, you know, they just went on to talk about it. They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say, in the Gulf of America. No, it's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said, he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm very proud of that. Under our leadership, the spirit of the American forces is soaring like it has never soared before. I think right now we have more spirit than we've ever had before. After years of recruiting shortages, we couldn't get guys or gals to become sailors. 1 year ago, they didn't want to be a sailor. Although I must say, once I said we're going to run, a lot of people, it made it better. But let's go back 2 years, and it was even worse. Because there was no hope. We had this horrible, horrible president who had no clue what the hell was happening. The chances of him walking down those stairs successfully were not good. And I have to be careful, because one day I'm going to probably fall. No, the North Carolina women said that will never happen to you. I always say, walk down the steps nice and slow. You ever notice I do nice? I don't have to bop down the stairs. Walk nice and slowly. But we have a waiting list. Think of this. We have a waiting list for people wanting to get into the United States Navy, the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines, Space Force. Oh, we love Space Force. But think of it. We have a waiting list for every branch of government now. And that includes police and firemen. They didn't want to. Nobody wanted to be a policeman. Now they want to be a policeman. Now they want to be in the Navy. They want to be in the Air Force so badly. The Marines, the Army, they want to be in all of it. They love Space Force. I love Space Force because I created Space Force. That was my thing. And it's going to turn out to be one of the most important. But 1 year ago, our country was dead. We had a dead country. People say, sir, you shouldn't say that. It's too straight. We had a dead country, and today we have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. 1 year, think of it. 1 year ago, we were dead. The king of Saudi Arabia said to me, President, 1 year ago, we thought we lost America. We thought it was a dead country, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. He said that. I use this term. And I'm pleased to say that 2025 was the Navy's single best recruiting year ever. Not bad. So you went from those embarrassing headlines of a year ago. Think of it. Nobody wants to go into the Navy. How does that make you feel? Now you have a different problem. You know what the problem is? Everybody wants your job. I like that better, right? No, but nobody's going to take your job. You were with us when it was not as nice. It wasn't as nice. Those are the people I like the best, too. The people that were with me when it wasn't looking so good, like these ladies from North Carolina. They were with me when it wasn't looking that good. A lot of fake scandals were created, all fake. One of those eager new recruits is 18-year-old Aiden Rollins, a recruit like I'm so proud of. Aiden's father was a sailor, his grandfather was a sailor, and after 4 years of Navy ROTC, it is Aiden's turn to carry on that tradition. When he enlisted in April, his father, Daniel, a Navy veteran, was so inspired that he decided to re-enlist too. Wow. I'm delighted to say that father and son are here with us today representing the future of this great fleet. Please, Aiden and your father, please stand up. Wow. Wow, that's a good-looking family, I tell you. Thank you both. That's a great story. Beautiful. Your father looks pretty young, Aiden. I mean, he's a young-looking guy. Every sailor, aviator, submariner, and shipmate in the Navy inherits a tradition of excellence and daring, power and glory unmatched in the long saga of mankind's voyage on the sea. From that first ship, the schooner Hannah, to the awesome sight of a modern carrier battle group underway, the U.S. Navy has always been the iron will of a proud and mighty nation pushing forward through the currents and over those big, beautiful waves, through the spray of raging combat and the fog of naval war. America's sailors have proven time and again that our Navy does just the best job there is. Anything having to do with sailing the oceans, there's nobody to compete. We own the skies, we stalk the depths. and we rule the seas like nobody has ever ruled the seas, from Boston Harbor to Hampton Roads, from the Philippine Sea to the Red Sea, from the Guadalcanal to the vast, great Atlantic Ocean. Our sailors have seized triumph upon triumph. We don't know anything about defeat. We heaped honor upon honor and carved greatness and splendor into the pages of history. We only talk about the Navy and only use that word, splendor. We also say victory because that's the other. We have splendor and we have victory on gun decks and flight decks, in torpedo rooms and cockpits. They have poured out their blood, sweat, and tears and offered their very lives to defend this land between the seas. They have crossed icy canals, leapt from burning wreckage, plunged into frigid waters, soared into deadly skies, and slashed across the mine-infested bays to claim American victory and to defend the cause of liberty, to defend, quite frankly, the American flag. In every era and every part of this globe, our sailors have fought with courage in their hearts, patriotism in their souls, and salt water in their veins. You have that salt water? Don't let the doctors change it. Keep it, because there's nothing like it. There's no blood like it. And standing before all of you today, I know that whatever our nation is threatened and whenever they need help, whenever duty calls, American sailors will hoist our flag high and they will rally to Admiral Farragut's immortal battle cry, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, go, you son of a gun." With your help, we will fight, fight, fight. We will win, win, win. Because of you, our Navy and our country will always be proud and righteous and mighty and free. Congratulations once again on 250 years of total dominance. Sail fast, stay strong. Thank you. God bless our sailors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Commander-in-Chief, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be, and I'm
Wow, that's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful sight to be with you in a place called Fort Bragg. Can you believe they changed that name in the last administration for a little bit? But we'll forget all about that. Well, we're going to forget all about it. I want to just say God bless the U.S. Army and God bless the USA. Great place, great group. I want to thank so many incredible soldiers and paratroopers, pilots, warriors for that awesome display of pure, unrivaled American military might. I just saw something that was crazy. You don't want to mess. I've been saying a long time, we have the best. Nobody even comes close, but they just gave me a display that you might be lucky not to see it because it's a little scary. It was beautiful to watch. Let's hear it for the Army Special Operations and Command and the 82nd Airborne Division and the 18th Airborne Corps. What a show it was and what a show it continues to be. And Saturday is going to be a big day in Washington, D.C. You know, a lot of people said, we don't want to do that. I say, yeah, we do. We want to show off a little bit. You know, recently, other countries celebrated the victory of World War I. France was celebrating, really. They were all celebrating. The only one that doesn't celebrate is the USA, and we're the ones that won the war. Without us, you'd all be speaking German right now. Maybe a little Japanese thrown in. But we won the war. And we don't celebrate, but we're going to celebrate on Saturday, and we're going to celebrate from now on. We're going to celebrate our greatness and our achievements. This week we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army. For 2.5 centuries, our soldiers have marched into the raging fires of battle and obliterated America's enemies. There's never been anything like it. There's never been a force like this. And I rebuilt it. I gave you so much money for 4 years. It was crazy. And we just approved our largest budget for military operations, over $1 trillion. We've never even come close. But our army has smashed foreign empires, humbled kings, toppled tyrants, and hunted terrorist savages through the very gates of hell. Our soldiers do not rest until they win. You know that better than anybody. From June 1775 to June 2025, those foolish enough to challenge America's army have been met with unyielding strength, unbreakable spirit, and unstoppable, overwhelming force. Time and again, our enemies have learned that if you dare to threaten the American people, American soldier will chase you down, crush you, and cast you into oblivion. That's what happens, unfortunately. That's what happens. Doesn't sound very nice, but it's true, isn't it? The last sound you ever hear will be the dueling howl of Black Hawks in the dead of night, the thunderous boom of artillery fire, or the ferocious roar of a U.S. Army infantry brigade charging over the horizon. That brigade is going to charge like you've never seen before, and hopefully I can keep you out of that, but if I don't, you're ready. Is that right? If I can keep you out of it. If I keep you out of it, that's okay, but if we need it, you're ready. You know, it's called peace through strength, isn't it? Peace through strength. For our adversaries, there's no greater fear than the United States Army. They all fear us, and we have the greatest force anywhere on earth. You know, you read different stories that others are building and building and building. We have a force like no other. They said it would take 5 years to defeat ISIS. We did it in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. We let them go. Unlike other of your leaders, I let them go, and we had General Raisin Kane, who's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because I liked him. He was a warrior. He was a great warrior, and now he's been rewarded for his incredible work. But they said it would take 5 years, and we did it in 4 weeks. Someday I'm going to ask him to explain that one to me. But it was the television generals that said that. The real generals got out and fought, and nobody fought like them ever. But for the American people, there's no greater pride, because you are the righteous sword of American justice and the ultimate shield of American freedom. This week, we remember that we only have a country because we first had an army. The army was first. In fact, the army was even before the country. You know that, right? 1 year before the country. After 250 years, we still proudly declare that we are free because you are strong. You are so strong. We're safe because you are brave, and America's flag will never fall because America's army will never, ever fail. Never going to fail. Every branch of the armed forces has played a critical role in protecting our nation, but no one has done more fighting, bleeding, and winning than the U.S. Army. Nobody's done that. The Army has earned more combat medals and more battle ribbons than any other service, and 70% of all of the medals of honor. We get medals of honor all the time at the White House to incredibly brave people, but you have 70% of them, Army soldiers, and especially our Army paratroopers, truly go all the way. You know that expression, all the way. It's one of your beautiful expressions. As President of the United States, let me express my undying gratitude to our nation for every soldier here today, for every veteran and their families, those incredible families that are with us and all across it, who has worn the uniform over 250 years. Can you imagine that? We thank you from the absolute bottom of our hearts. Few places loom larger in Army lore than where we are gathered today. The one and only Fort Bragg, the one and only Fort Bragg. But remember, it was only that little brief moment that it wasn't called Fort Bragg. It was by the Biden administration, not Trump. I had nothing to do with it. We got it changed. We said, you know, I came here numerous times and everybody, they kept saying Fort Bragg, Fort Bragg. I said, you know, it's not the name, but then I was making a speech. I said, what do you think I should call this place? Call it Fort Bragg. I said, Fort Bragg, how you doing? We won a lot of battles from this place, and that's the way it is. It wasn't even close. When Pete and some of the generals came to see me, I said, not even close, not even close. This is the home of the Green Berets, the Sky Dragons, and the All-American 82nd Airborne. We know what 82nd Airborne Division. This is where the GIs who won the Second World War learned to pack their parachutes and push howitzers and go right into those C-47s with lots of arms and push them right out those big, beautiful doors and wield their bayonets and pry the enemy from the hedgerows of the French countryside. France needed us badly. We were there. A lot of people needed us badly. They still do, maybe worse than ever. It was here in this soil that the Army forged the medal that held strong at Bastogne. It was here the mighty paratroopers earned their wings before they rained down death from above to liberate Sicily, Normandy, and even the Netherlands. That's right. We saved the Netherlands. Every inch of this base is steeped in the legacy of those warriors who have said with pride, "Sir, I trained at Fort Bragg, sir." That was pretty cool. And that is why we restored the historic name of this very, very special place. I don't know if it could be the same place. Fort Bragg is in, that's the name. And Fort Bragg, it shall always remain. That's never going to be happening again. And for a little news for the fake news back there, the fake news, ladies and gentlemen, look at them all. Oh, yeah, what I have to put up with. Fake news. What I have to put up with. But they're all right. They've been very nice today. They were impressed with that display, I can tell you that. I think it took them a little by surprise. But for a little breaking news, we are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee. We won a lot of battles out of those forts. It's no time to change. And I'm superstitious, you know, I like to keep it going, right? I'm very superstitious. We want to keep it going. So that's a big story. We just announced that today to you for the first time. They said, why didn't you wait till Saturday? I said, I can't wait. I got to talk to my friends here today. This is a record crowd. You know, you never had a crowd this big. That's an honor. You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to thank so many great leaders here today, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who's been great. By the way, Pete, thank you. Great. And he went through the wars, you know. Pete went through the wars. He had to get through a very hostile group of people that I think really don't want to see America be great again, maybe, or something. But he persevered, and he got there, and he's doing a fantastic job. Great job, Pete. Thank you very much. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, a fantastic man. Thank you, Doug. You're doing a great job. Doing a great, great job. Way, way up from the last administration, Veterans Administration. It's way up. You saw the recent poll. The people are happy. They weren't happy a couple of years ago. They were really happy 5 years ago. But it went downhill from there. We did so much. We got you medical. If you had to wait, if you had a delay at all, you go out to see a private doctor. We pay the bill. You take care of it. You don't wait for 6 months and end up getting very sick on something that could have been done with a little shot or a pill. We did that. Then they wanted to drop that. I said, we're not dropping it. But, Doug, I'm proud of you. I just heard some great things. Thank you very much. The Secretary of the Army, a really brilliant young guy, went to Yale. Can't have everything. Top student, Dan Driscoll. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And we have your senators, Senator Ted Budd and Senator Tom Tillis. Thank you, fellas. Thank you. Congressman Richard Hudson, Pat Harrigan. Where's Pat? Pat? Good, Pat. You're doing great. You guys are amazing. And we have the big brass, General Andrew Pappas. General, thank you. Thank you, General. Doing a great job. General John Braja. John, thank you. Great job. Thank you for today, John. General Greg Anderson. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael Weimer. And before going further, I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It'd be burning today, just like their houses were burning a number of months ago. Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen. It's never going to happen. What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty carried out by rioters bearing foreign flags with the aim of continuing a foreign invasion of our country. We're not going to let that happen. Remember, millions of people were allowed to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted by stupid people or radical left people or sick people. But regardless, open border policy, the dumbest policy yet, I would say even dumber than men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone. Even dumber than that, they're hurling bricks and cinder blocks at law enforcement. Did you see they're breaking up the sidewalks and the curbs, breaking it up with big, strong hammers? These guys are professionals. These are not amateurs. They're breaking it up because they took the bricks away from them. They came in with bricks, red bricks, that they could throw at our military and at the police in LA, who are very good, but they weren't aggressive like our soldiers. Our soldiers really were aggressive, but they all worked together. But they came in with bricks, they were taken away, and they had hammers. Oh, wow, how did that happen? And they're pounding the sidewalk. I said, what the hell is he doing? And he's breaking it up and making it into concrete bombs in a way, and they're dropping them on our military. They're throwing them at our military. Pretty good arms they had, too. Hits guys right in the face, big chunk of concrete, worse than a brick. They're taking them up to the bridges and they're dropping them in the cars that are going by. These are animals. But they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators. I know Senator Josh Hawley is very much involved. And I know the two senators from here. I think you guys, are you guys in favor of it? Boy, would this be a bad time for them to say no. I got you. I got those 2 votes. The agitators are throwing firebombs, Molotov cocktails, lighting vehicles ablaze. You saw the cars that were burning, mobbing police officers and ICE officers who are the toughest people you'll ever meet, and they love our country, and they're getting really they want to stomp on them, but they're too tough. They don't allow it. And attempting to infiltrate and occupy federal buildings wearing armor and face shields. The best money can buy, somebody's financing it. We're going to find out through Pam Bondi and Department of Justice who it is. They're already on it. Who's financing all this equipment? Very professional. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy. And that's what they are. A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. They came from prisons. They came from jails from all over the world. They came from mental institutions. They were the leaders of gangs. They were drug lords allowed to come into our country. Their countries threw them out. Their countries would bus them or drive them right to our border and say, go in there. You ever come back, we're going to kill you. And we got them, and we're getting them out of here. I want to applaud the courage and the strength of the incredible troops who are right now standing guard to protect federal property and personnel and uphold the supremacy of federal law. That's what they're doing. They're protecting our ICE agents. They're protecting the police in Los Angeles. The head of the police in Los Angeles, a good man, I hear a good man, but he was actually saying we really did need this help. It had gotten away from them. It had long gotten away. And we gave it to them. Not only are these service members defending the honest citizens of California, they're also defending our republic itself. And they are heroes. They're in there, they're heroes. They're fighting for us. They're stopping an invasion just like you'd stop an invasion. The big difference is most of the time when you stop an invasion, they're wearing a uniform. In many ways, it's tougher when they're not wearing a uniform because you don't know exactly who they are. In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent, and they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is. They're invaders, no different. Their position is that the rioting will not stop unless ICE withdraws from Los Angeles and ceases the enforcement of federal immigration law. In other words, many of them came out of prisons and jails, the most heinous people. They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo in Africa. They came from Asia. They came from the prisons of these places. They were put into the United States and allowed to stay here because we had a grossly unfit president who listened to whoever was operating the auto pen. And they allowed these people to stay. And by the way, I've known this guy for a long time. He was never the sharpest bulb. But you know what he was? He wasn't a radical left lunatic. He never dreamt about open borders. He never said that when he was of sound mind, which actually was a very long time ago. So sad what they've done to our country. I will say that without question, however, you're seeing the financial numbers. We've now got the hottest country anywhere in the world. And 6 months ago, it was the coldest country. We're being laughed at all over the world. I was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. We brought back $5.1 trillion into our country, and all three leaders, they're great leaders, all three said, you know, you are presiding over the hottest country anywhere in the world. And they said the exact same thing. They said 6 months ago, it was the coldest country. I'll tell you, it changed on a date. You know what November 5th was? It was the election of a president that loves you. And that's when it all changed. That's when it all changed. Within the span of a few decades, Los Angeles has gone from being one of the cleanest, safest, and most beautiful cities on earth to being a trash heap with entire neighborhoods under the control of transnational gangs and criminal networks. It's horrible what's happened so quickly. As the entire world can now see, uncontrolled migration leads to chaos, dysfunction, and disorder. And you know what? They have it in Europe, too. It's happening in many of the countries of Europe. They don't like it when I say it, but I'll say it loudly and clearly. They better do something before it's too late. Very simply, we will liberate Los Angeles and make it free, clean, and safe again. It's happening very quickly. The One Big Beautiful Bill, you've heard about it. We call it the One Big, you know, I was on one of the television shows, I think Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Deface the Nation. It's actually called Face the Nation for those of you that are smart enough not to know, because you're better off not knowing. But I was on one of the shows, and I said, we got to get a great bill. They said, would you like it to be one bill, or would you like it to be 7 or 8 bills? They said, I want one big, beautiful bill. And the Republican Party liked that statement. They call it one big, beautiful bill, so that's good. And that's what it is. It's great. And it's currently before Congress. It provides all necessary funding for ICE, for Border Patrol, and for the Department of Defense. And I told you, at a level that we've never had before, over $1 trillion. We better get that bill approved. Otherwise, your helicopters and your planes and your equipment's going to start to look a little bit old, General. You better push your favorite congressman. You better push these 2 senators. I think they're in good shape, however. But we got to get it approved. And those congressmen by you are all 100%. I don't even have to talk to them. They've been so great. So I want to sign this into law immediately, and with the signing, so many great things will happen to our country. No tax on tips. Think of that. No tax, seniors on Social Security. No tax on overtime. They're going to pay for themselves. And if you get a car, and if you borrow money to buy the car, we're going to let you deduct the interest payment if it's a new car made in America. Only if it's made in America. If it's made in Japan or China or any place else, we're not really interested in your deduction. I was elected winning all 7 swing states, the popular vote by millions and millions of votes, and all counties throughout America by 2,750 to 525. That's what I call a big number. But this is a mandate from the people to restore the sovereign borders of the United States, and that is exactly what we're doing. Not only the borders, the financial institutions, and our country itself. We will not be deterred, and the mob in Los Angeles or anyone else, anywhere else, will not succeed. They don't even have a little chance. And I will be calling you early as I see this happening, because, you know, in theory, I guess you could say a governor could call, but they don't call. They let their city burn, like in Minneapolis with this guy who ran for vice president against J.D. That was a good debate, J.D. against this guy. Remember how bad he was? That was one of the, I said, J.D., there's never been a man like you're competing against. This is the worst. I think he's running for president, too. Can you believe it? But he's a radical left lunatic, and I'll never forget, in Minnesota, that city was burning down. Minneapolis was burning down. It was going to burn to the ground, and he wouldn't call the guard. And I waited for a long time, and I called the guard, and I saved it, but I wish I would have called it the first day. And I said, you know, if this ever happens again, because I was thinking about running because the election was rigged and stolen, we all know it. I said, we're going to run again, and if I win, which I hope, remember, we're going to make it too big to rig. But we did. We won by millions and millions of votes. So beautiful to watch. That was such a beautiful, 9:02 in the evening. They said, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is projected to be the winner. I said, well, you think that was easy? I don't think these ladies from North Carolina think it was easy. You know, they followed me. I don't know what happened to their husbands. They're married to very nice people. But they've been to, 138 rallies? They said more. And they're from North Carolina. It's nice that we have one nearby finally, right? They go all over the country. I don't know what the hell's going on, but they're great. They're North Carolina, beautiful, wonderful woman, and we appreciate it. Like 130 rallies or some crazy number. Are your husbands satisfied with that? Are they okay? Oh, here he is. He showed up. One of them showed up. That's great. Congratulations. Great women, actually. The great patriots. We will use every asset at our disposal to quell the violence and restore law and order right away. We're not going to wait 7 days and 8 days and wait for a governor that's never going to call and watch cities burn. And let me tell you, if we didn't do this, Los Angeles would burn. It would be burning to the ground right now, just like the houses burned to the ground just a few months ago. And the only flag that will wave triumphant over the streets of Los Angeles is the American flag. So help me God. The American flag is the one that's going to wave triumphantly over the streets. And now let's get back to the true reason we're here today, celebrating 250 years of unbreakable Army courage. This week we commemorate not just the starting point in Army history, but a turning point in the history of the world. That's how important it is. When the Continental Congress created the Army and appointed its first commander, named happened to be George Washington. Has anybody heard of him? George Washington. Are you okay, darling? Are you all right? Yeah, take your time, please. Doctor, please. Doctor. Doctor in the house. Thank you. Thank you very much. These are great people. They've been waiting here a long time, General, so, you know, we want to give them all the time they need, right? Thank you very much. Greatest people in the world. They are amazing. Amazing. Oh, good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, honey. Thank you. Beautiful young person. Beautiful young person. We have a lot of young people. You know, they have. We won young people, old people, and everything in between. It's sort of nice. Remember they used to say, but Trump doesn't have the young people. We won everything. Thank you very much, Doctor. Great job. When the Continental Congress created the Army and appointed its first commander, General George Washington, they sent the fierce spirit of a free nation into battle under a rallying cry that echoes to this day. Give me liberty or give me death. Have you heard of it? Quite a beautiful statement. Think of what that means. Give me liberty or give me death. I know exactly what that means. Just 3 days after the birth of the Army, the great patriot, founding father, Dr. Joseph Warren, was on the front lines as a soldiers stood totally outnumbered and outgunned at Bunker Hill. They had a group of soldiers against them that was supposed to be, in that day, unbeatable. Warren's mother had begged him, son, please don't do it. She said, please, please don't do it. Don't risk your life for even the patriot cause, please. And he replied, wherever danger is, dear mother, there your son will be. I will either set my country free or shed my last drop of blood to make us so. So beautiful. So the words are so beautiful. At Bunker Hill, Warren kept his vow, fighting and fighting and fighting and loving his country until he fell, drenched in blood, and gave his life at the very young age of 34. Exactly 250 years later, we are joined by Dr. Warren's great-great-great-great-great-grandson and it's 7 generations down. And now an Iraq war veteran, retired Army specialist, Scott Warren, is here with his daughter, Sergeant E5 Carrington Sanders of Fort Irwin. I want to just, where are you? Where would you be in this big crowd? Thank you very much. What an honor. What an honor. You look great, too, by the way. You really look great. Thank you very much. What a great family. But you carry in your veins the love and devotion of a martyr for American liberty. Please stand. Just put that hand up once more for the people because they want. Thank you very much. You're looking good. Looking good. Good genes. Good genetics. Thank you both. Thank you very much. The life of a soldier is not just a job, it's a calling and a sacred tradition passed down from father to son, brother to sister, and one generation to the next. At every hour of danger, our noblest citizens have answered that call, kissed their loved ones goodbye, and run to the sound of guns. You run to the sound of guns, you're running right into them, you're going to win. When the British tried to reconquer our young nation in 1812, 1,000 Americans at Fort McHenry fought off a British invasion fleet, 5,000 strong. They say it was unstoppable. Lieutenant Francis Scott Key, you all heard the name, watched from Baltimore Harbor as the Army kept Old Glory flying high. Many people died. Deeply inspired, he wrote a poem in tribute to Army courage and American pride, known today as the Star-Spangled Banner, or our national anthem. Great. 8 generations later, we're joined by a descendant of Francis Scott Key, who has spent 2 decades in uniform, Major Kyle Key of Army National Guard fame. Please, Major, where are you, Major? Thank you. Thank you. Looking good, too. What's going on here? These guys they all come from a very fine strain of blood. That's great genetics is right. Thank you both very much. Major Key, thank you for helping to keep this incredible land of ours free and the home of the brave, and that's what it was. Through the decades that followed, the Army conquered the great frontier, won the war that restored our nation and broke forever the chains of slavery. A generation later, the Army's Rough Riders stormed up San Juan Hill with Colonel Theodore Roosevelt and swept the last foreign empire from the American hemisphere, forever swept. In World War I, our doughboys fought bravely in the Valley of the Marne and in the Argonne. There in 1918, a devout Tennessee Christian named Alvin York, you know that name, charged across an open field towards the German machine guns. They were firing at levels at that time that nobody had ever seen before. They were knocking down everything in their way, including giant trees were coming down. The enemy mowed down more than half of his platoon almost immediately. The platoon was going down like nobody's ever thought possible. But York pressed on into the jaws of death. He slayed German after German and returned with 132 prisoners from behind the enemy lines. And he had the option of killing them, and he didn't want to do that. And that's okay, isn't it, right? It's okay. But he brought 132 back. And his actions and the actions of that great day, a crazy but great day, Sergeant York earned the Congressional Medal of Honor and became one of the most famed and decorated heroes of the First World War. Very famous, actually, because of the movie that was made. And we're joined today by Sergeant York's grandson, Army Colonel Gerald York. Gerald? Thank you. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you very much. It's Great honor to have you. Thank you, Gerald. At his grandfather's funeral in 1964, Gerald was told by the command sergeant major of Fort Bragg that it was about time he joined the Army. And he volunteered for combat in Vietnam and gave the Army 31 of his best years. No, I think your best years are right now. You look very good. Your best years are right now. Keep it going. But Colonel York, we salute you. We salute your family and the fame and the bravery of your family. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. And in World War II, the Army once again came to the free world's rescue. Among the millions and millions who volunteered was Henry Armstrong. He enlisted 6 months before his high school graduation and did basic training right here at Fort Bragg. By the next year, he was in Normandy. He fought his way across France as part of Patton's Third Army, crossed the Rhine into the heart of Germany, and helped liberate a Nazi concentration camp. He was a brave person. Command Sergeant Major Henry Armstrong is here with us today. He's 100 years old, a veteran of numerous World War II battles, and 41 years in the Army. Thank you. Wow. These are great, amazing people. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you very much. He's joined by his grandson, Army Major Dennis Armstrong. Dennis, I assume that's you, right? Thank you, Dennis. And Dennis's wife, Captain Shelley Armstrong. They love the military, and they love our country. Thank you very much. Shelley, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And their son, Tanner. Where's Tanner? Let me see. Oh, he looks good, too. They all look good. Tanner might look the best, actually. Thank you very much. Who's an active duty staff sergeant in the 82nd Airborne right here in Fort Bragg. He could right now run for office, I think. He's very popular. In Korea, our warriors held the front line in the battle against communism and liberated millions and millions into the light of freedom. To Vietnam, we sent some of the toughest men who ever wore Army boots and olive drab. One of them was Joe Marm of Pennsylvania. He was 23 years old when his platoon was ordered to rescue soldiers surrounded by the enemy in the Battle of Ia Drang. Lieutenant Marm charged into heavy fire, killing 4 enemy soldiers in the brush before sprinting across 40 yards of open field. His teammates could not believe he was doing it, actually, they said. He then tossed a grenade that killed 8 Viet Cong gunners, plunged into the trenches and killed still more before being shot in the jaw, badly in the jaw. He successfully cleared the way for his men to save their stranded comrades and, frankly, for his men to save their own lives. He was unbelievable. For his exceptional bravery, Lieutenant Marm received the Congressional Medal of Honor and retired as an Army colonel after 30 years of service. Colonel Marm is here today with his 2 sons, Will and Walter, both Army Rangers. What a great family legacy. Please stand up. How's your jaw feeling? All right? The jaw? It's all right? Looks pretty good. I wish mine looked that good. It's very good. Thank you very much. Great family. Appreciate it. Real heroes. In the modern era, our soldiers have charged into the darkest caves and ventured into the most God-forsaken places to vanquish the forces of radical Islamic terror from the face of the earth. In 2007, Chief Warrant Officer Eric Phillips was stationed at a remote outpost in the Afghan mountains when a massive Taliban force attacked from all sides. He thought he was finished. For 3 hours, he led a hellacious counter-assault to successfully repulse the enemy in close combat. In the same deployment, Eric again repelled an attack by a vastly larger enemy force, saving countless lives. For his spectacular gallantry, Chief Phillips earned the Distinguished Service Cross and the Silver Star, becoming among the most highly decorated warriors of any branch in the war on terror. Actually, he is the most decorated, and It's not even that close. Many, many battles, many, many medals. And he's with us today, Chief Phillips. You did us all proud. Please stand up, Chief Phillips. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You are Army strong. Thank you very much, Chief. From the American Revolution until today, the story of the Army is the tale of an unbroken chain of American patriots who gave all they had for this country. It is the saga of epic men like Washington and Jackson, Grant and Custer, Pershing and Eisenhower, Patton and MacArthur, Wild Bill Donovan, and the great General William Yarborough, father of the Green Berets. You know that, the Green Berets? You know that? William Yarborough. It's the story of fabled units like the Old Guard, the Iron Brigade, the Big Red One, the Buffalo Soldiers, the Harlem Hellfighters, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Screaming Eagles, and George Patton's Hell on Wheels. They called it Hell on Wheels. When he was after you, it was not good. The weapons of war have changed with every generation, but the unflinching loyalty of the American soldier has always remained the same. The Army has always stayed true to its motto, "This we'll defend." You know that. This we'll defend. Army warriors who have laid down their lives for America rest by the thousands in the sacred soil of Arlington and Gettysburg, Anzio and Manila, and to far-off places known only to God. We owe everything to them. Today we renew our devotion to the cause of liberty for which they so selflessly lived and fought and so bravely died. There could be no greater tribute to their memory than to prepare the Army to dominate America's enemies for the next 250 years and more than that. That's why under the Trump administration, we're focused on restoring the spirit of the U.S. Armed Forces. No soldier ever volunteered for the Army to be lectured about transgender diversity or inclusion. You don't want to hear that. Transgender for everybody. We don't do that. America's patriots joined the Army to kick down doors, storm beaches, kill terrorists, and win America's wars. That's what we want. And that's what you want. And to that end, we're making that record investment, but not only in the Army, in the other forces also, because you work together as a team. And we're including in that and across the board. Now, you don't have to take this if you don't want. You could be great patriots. Say, I don't want a raise. I will not accept it. Let it go back into our country. Let's give it to Gavin Newsom so he can waste it in Los Angeles. No, we don't want to do that, but we're giving you across the board raise for every single service member in the U.S. Armed Forces. We're giving you across the board, and you deserve it. You know, we spend so much money on things that we shouldn't be spending it on. But I think those days are stopping, Mr. Senators and Congressmen that are with us. As part of our one big, beautiful bill, we are also investing over $1 billion to update your on-base housing. And we're building a state-of-the-art missile defense shield to protect our homeland. And it's called the Golden Dome. It's going to be all made in America. We've done it for others. We're now doing it, about time, right? We're doing it for ourselves. After years of recruiting shortfalls, this is, to me, maybe the most exciting things. We're setting the strongest peacetime recruiting records ever. Just think of this. 6 months ago, we couldn't recruit anybody to join the military. Nobody wanted to join. That was 6 months ago. And then we had the election of November 5th. And now we have the strongest recruiting numbers in the history of our country. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? We've already surpassed our recruiting targets for 2025, and we're not done yet. And I'll tell you, it doesn't make you feel good when you had to hear 6, 7 months ago that nobody wants to join the Army, they don't want to join our military. Frankly, they didn't want to join our police, our firemen. They lost confidence. They lost faith in our country. And just a short number of months later, we're setting all-time records. In fact, your job might be in jeopardy. Somebody else may come in and take it. That was bad. We'll get you out of here. You have to be good. We're getting the best people that you've ever seen. We're getting people I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. Great people are coming in. Doesn't it make you feel good, though? You have something and you're doing something and other people want to join you. Isn't that a great feeling? And wasn't it a lousy feeling just a short time ago when they announced, you're a soldier and you're proud of your country and you're proud of the Army in your case, and you're reading stories about nobody wants to come in and join the military, right? Isn't that lousy? Even the ladies from North Carolina were not happy with that. But then we had a great election. It was amazing. Too big to rig. We had a great election, and all of a sudden, the people are pouring in, and we have incredible people like Pete and the others that are here, Dan. I think they made a big difference. I really do. So thank you very much. All of you guys, I think you've really made a big difference. The Army will soon be stronger, bigger, and better than ever before. And every new soldier that joins our ranks will kindle the same fighting spirit exemplified by the likes of Sergeant Major Jim Schmidt, who's no longer with us. At 15 years old, after lying about his age, because he wanted to get in so badly, Jim trained at Fort Bragg to fight in World War II. When Jim's middle school wrote to ask if he would attend his 8th grade graduation, he wrote back, "That will be impossible, as I'm rather busy now. I'm in the hinterlands hunting down Germans," and I have to say this, and Italians. I know there are a couple of Germans and Italians here. As a paratrooper, he made the famous drops at Sicily and Salerno while still a young boy, too young to be in. The Army kicked him out. They found out about it. They kicked him out. They discovered he was way underage. They said, "Jim, you got to get out of here. You're a hell of a soldier, but you got to get out." But that didn't stop Jim. He enlisted in the Navy. But the moment he turned 18, he came right back and he joined the 82nd Airborne. How about that? He went on to fight at the Chosin Reservoir in Korea, a rough place. Saw combat in Vietnam and ended his career right back at Fort Bragg, having earned 2 Silver Stars, 3 Bronze Stars, and 2 Purple Hearts. With us today is Jim's widow, Peggy, and their beloved grandson, Army Specialist Christian Forbes, who is currently deployed at our southern border defending our country from an invasion. Whether we like it or not, it's an invasion. But I don't know if you've heard, the invasion was 99.9% stopped. Did you hear that? 99? Could even be more right. 99.999% stopped. That invasion is stopped. So I think he's in good shape. Specialist Forbes, I want to thank you for defending America. And you've obviously done a good job because that invasion has been stopped, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you, wherever you may be. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Great. We stopped that sucker, didn't we, huh? We stopped it. Thank you very much. Each and every one of you here today carries in your souls the love, strength, and courage of millions upon millions of Army patriots who came before you. Your uniforms bear the same stars and stripes that our ancestors carried to victory at Yorktown, across the Great Plains, and over our Rockies, up the Missionary Ridge, down through the streets of Paris. That's right, we went down the streets of Paris. We got to help our allies, don't we? Across the sands of North Africa and onto the shores of Omaha Beach, into the blood-soaked hills of Korea. And it was a West Point graduate named Buzz Aldrin who first planted our great American flag on the face of the moon. We know that. Now it's your turn to carry that flag forward and to add your own daring deeds into this chronicle of triumph and legends. Now it's your duty to shield the flame of freedom that was first lit 250 years ago by the heroes of Concord Bridge and Bunker Hill. Standing before you today, I am more confident than ever that in the days ahead, and every generation to come, the U.S. Army will heap glory upon glory upon glory upon us all. You will protect every inch of U.S. soil, and you will defend America to the ends of the earth. Wherever danger is, there the U.S. Army will be. Another beautiful phrase. Whatever peril comes our way, whatever menace threatens our people, you will stand strong, you will be proud, you will charge hard, and you will keep that flame lit, that beautiful, beautiful flame. You're going to keep it lit. You will hold the flag high, and you will do something that's become quite a famous little phrase also, but you're a hell of a lot braver than me. You will fight, 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 and you will win, win, win. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our soldiers, and God bless the U.S. Army. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
How we doing, American warriors? What an absolute honor it is to be here amongst America's best alongside our allies. I look out into this audience and I truly see the eyes of American strength, the eyes of American deterrence, the eyes of Americans who put America first. So on behalf of a grateful nation, I want to thank you for your willingness to take the prime of your life to raise your right hand to defend our Constitution and our great nation. We salute you, we thank you and your families these 6,000 or 7,000 miles away. You know, I have the distinct privilege every day of watching President Donald Trump put America first. From the Oval Office to foreign trips, every single moment he has the best interests of our warfighters in mind. He wants to ensure in every situation, in every scenario, in every conflict, we have your back. And that's his message to me. He says, Pete, we better have their back as warfighters every time. We have three things at the Department of Defense that we're doing to ensure we achieve peace through strength and put America first. Number one, we're restoring the warrior ethos. No more political correctness, gender pronouns, DEI, CRT, or climate change. We're in the business of warfighting, accountabilities, standards, warriors, and lethality. And the American people have responded. The young people of America have signed up in historic numbers, which is why you've seen recruiting skyrocket across the country in historic ways, responding to their commander-in-chief, Donald Trump. You've also seen retention in our ranks at historic numbers as well. We're restoring the warrior ethos. We're also rebuilding our military. President Trump has committed a $1 trillion defense budget, a historic budget unlike any before, a generational rebuilding of our capabilities. We will have the best ships, the best subs, the best planes, the best fighters, the best drones, missiles, air defense, space defense, border security, Golden Dome, you name it. America will be stronger than ever before under our Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. He is committed to that. And number three, we are reestablishing deterrence. Sadly, over the last 4 years, we saw a collapse in Afghanistan, what happened on October 7th, the war in Ukraine, violence unleashed by wokeness and weakness. But under President Trump, we're seeing a renaissance of peace through strength. Our enemies know that we mean business, and our allies like Qatar here know that we will stand beside them. That projection of strength, that recognition of American leadership is what unleashes peace. You see, my first motto as a platoon leader was those for my platoon, Charlie Company, 2nd of the 113th, was those who long for peace must prepare for war. We are war fighters, standing behind this Commander-in-Chief, prepared to deliver peace and security for the American people. And we have the greatest Commander-in-Chief possible in the Oval Office and here with us today. It's always my message to the troops, this man has your back. And that is why it is a distinct honor to introduce to you the 45th and 47th President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. This is an honor. What a beautiful group of people you are. You are good. I wish I looked like you. I would have been president 20 years ago if I looked like you. But I want to give a special hello to Al Udeid Air Base, sometimes referred to as the Deed. That's a little sinister term, the Deed. Today, we can all relax and be at ease, and we're going to have a little fun. I have nothing else to do, so let's have a little fun, right? So I'm thrilled to be here with the men and women who embody American strength and pride, the warriors of the United States Armed Forces. It's an amazing group of people. You are, without a doubt, the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. That's the way it is. I said it last night. I said it strong. We have the strongest military in the world. There's not even a contest. We have the best equipment. Nobody has equipment like us. Nobody has the planes or the missiles or anything else. And as your Commander-in-Chief, I'm here to say that America's military will soon be bigger, better, stronger, and more powerful than ever before. We just did a budget. The budget was the highest by far, over $1 trillion. It's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. And hopefully it's peace through strength. Hopefully we don't have to use it. Because if you use it, I feel sorry for the other guy, but we don't want to have to use it. I want to recognize a true warrior, and that's our Secretary of Defense. They put him through hell, the radical left did, and he's incredible. You know, he went to the best schools, he did the best stuff. He's a smart guy, and he's a great guy, and I just listened to his words standing backstage when he was speaking, and he really has it right on the peg. Pete Hegseth, he's going to be great. You're going to love this guy. You're going to love him. And I also want to I want to influence you to clap for a man who's a great influencer. In fact, my son, Barron, said, "Dad, you got to do an interview with somebody I hadn't heard of." But my son knew very well. He knows everyone. He said, "Dad, this is before the election. You know, we won in a landslide, in case you hadn't known." But he said, "Dad, you got to do an interview with a guy named Theo Vaughn." I said, "Who the hell is Theo Vaughn?" He said, "Dad, he's such a big guy. You got to do an interview." So he knew all the names. I didn't know the names. And where is Theo? He's around here someplace, I think. Theo, thank you very much. That's Barron. You know Barron. He said, "You got to do with it." We had a good time, right? Had a good time. We had like 270 million people that listened. So you know what? I think Barron was right. Thank you for being here, Theo. Appreciate it. Also, Lee Greenwood, right from the beginning, that song went on. And, you know, that song was a successful song, but we made it the most, number one. We made that song, it's the top of the list of that type of song. That's a pretty big, I don't want to go into the list because you'll get upset with me if I do. Like the national anthem and things. It's like, and it became unbelievable. And I was saying you could get Elvis or anybody else to do a song. There's nothing, that was my intro song right from the beginning. Because as you know, we won 3 elections, okay? And some people want us to do a 4th. I don't know, we'll have to think about that. You saw the new hat. The hottest hat is, it says, Trump 2028. We're driving the left crazy when you see that. We didn't need that hat, but it's been an amazing period of time. And when Lee Greenwood did that song, it went from the first day. I came out, we played it. It was a great song, but we didn't know. And then I did it a second time, a third time. And that was 968 rallies ago. Can you believe that? We did 968 rallies. There's another hat says 968. I said, what the hell does that mean? That's the number of rallies. I said, you have to be kidding. But from the very beginning, and we played Lee's song, and it was the walk-on. And then for the last inauguration, I had all the big singers, they wanted to do a song for me, and they wanted to have me walk on to their song. And my people, oh, that would be nice, that would be nice. And when I heard about it, we were all set. We had a lot of them. And I heard about it. I said, I'm not switching. Are you kidding me? I'm not switching. So we stick with Lee. But nobody could have done better than Lee. And he's been so loyal and so great. And it's been really about 9 years of that stuff. And, you know, we had really, honestly, we had 3 unbelievable campaigns. And it's been an honor. And there's nobody been stronger than the military in terms of backing us, nobody. So I just want to thank you all very much. Great honor. Thank you very much. And also with us today is really a great talent and somebody who's one of the most popular television hosts in history. Still looks young to me, but he's been doing it a long time. But he's an incredible man. He's always seems to take my side, and therefore I like him even more. But he has common sense. We talk about common sense all the time, but he's one of the biggest in the history of television, the great Sean Hannity. He's here someplace. Sean, stand up wherever you are. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Where is he? Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. He was a little shy for a change. I've never seen that. We're also grateful to have a very excellent ambassador, Timmy Davis. Everybody loves him. Timmy, thank you very much. Thank you, Timmy. Along with your great military leaders, these are real leaders. These are real tough cookies. Lieutenant General Derek Trapper France, Major General David Shoemaker, Brigadier General Richard Deuce Dickens, Chief Master Sergeants Chris Murphy and Joshua Wiener, and Colonel Brian Ellis. We want to thank you, amazing people. They're real leaders, and this is one of the great bases anywhere in the world, and we're lucky to have them. Thank you very much, fellas. And a very special thanks as well to our partners from the Qatar Army and Armed Forces. Let's give them a really special hand. They are so great. They are so great. And in particular, we want to give a little special applause for somebody that's been so good. Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister, Saud. Where are you, Saud? Thank you very much. Great. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor. Yesterday, we signed an agreement for Qatar to purchase $42 billion worth of the finest American military hardware, including THAAD missile batteries, Pegasus refueling aircraft, Desert Vipers, light armored vehicles, amphibious combat vehicles, the MQ-9B, and the Sky Guardian drones. That's all the best stuff. If it isn't, please stand up and tell me and we'll get something else. But I believe it's the best. Qatar will also be investing $10 billion to support this massive base in the coming years, and there's no place like it, they say. And a man, the leader, Amir, he's been a special friend of mine for a long time, long before I did the political thing. When he was a novice, he was a young guy, and we got to know each other, and we liked each other and got along long before I ever thought of running for president. And it's nice when you have that kind of a relationship. We got along right from the beginning. He's a special guy. He's a great leader of your country. So I want to just congratulate you on that, and all the Qatari people, a spectacular group, and it's an honor. And I don't think our friendship's ever been stronger than it is right now. It's you had the last administration. I don't know if they knew too much about what was happening, but this administration does. And you will never see anything like the relationship that we have. We just left Saudi Arabia, as you know, and you have a fantastic crown prince. He is a fantastic guy likewise. And we're going from here, we're going to UAE and United Arab Emirates, and we're going to see another leader. We have, it's an amazing part of the world, and our relationship has never been stronger. And you're going to see that as time goes by. But with us, it's not words. As you know, I'm in the midst of a very historic trip, visiting the key partners in the Gulf. We had just some incredible stopovers and a wonderful day. Yesterday, we had the dinner, however, with His Highness, the Emir. And he is, I'm going to see him in a little while. I'm going to be saying goodbye to him, but we'll be saying hello again very, very soon. But no visit in the Gulf would be complete without stopping to salute the people who keep America safe, strong, and free, and the patriots of the United States Army, Navy, Space Force. I love Space Force. That's I have to say, that's my little baby. You know, I started that. They said, that will never work. Oh, it worked. You know, we were way behind Russia and China, and now we're way, way ahead of everybody. So Space Force, I'm very happy. That was mine. You know, not since the Air Force has that happened. So we created a force, and it's a big force, and it's a brilliant force. So Space Force, thank you for doing such a great job. The Marines, and of course, the United States Air Force. Al Udeid is the home of the legendary 379th Air Expeditionary Wing, known as the Grand Slam Wing. We also have the 1st Expeditionary Theater Support Group. You got them all. And let's not forget the top-notch Army soldiers from the 11th Air Defense Artillery, the Imperial Brigade. Thank you, fellas. That's great. We also have the 8th Expeditionary Air Mobility Squadron, known as Mighty Ochos. Where are the Ochos? We don't want to fight with them. All of you are the tip of the spear. You're the finest we have. Anywhere in the world, you're the finest we have. You're the finest anyone has in the fight against the enemies of civilization. You're the people that are defeating chaos, combating terror, defending our interests, supporting our allies, securing our homeland, and making America incredibly proud. And you know what? Making America great again. That's what's happened. It's happened very fast. Happened very fast. As president, my priority is to end conflicts, not start them, but I will never hesitate to wield American power if it's necessary to defend the United States of America or our partners. And this is one of our great partners right here. When we're threatened, America's military will answer our enemies without even thinking about it. We have overwhelming strength and devastating force. And we had people that didn't like to talk about that, you know? They didn't want to talk about the level of quality that we have. They didn't want to talk about anything. We're going to have a big parade this year, you know, in Washington, D.C., a real parade. And I'll tell you just a little story. A week ago, May 8th, I'd call up a certain country, and they said, oh, we're celebrating the victory of World War II today, sir. Oh, really? I speak to one of the presidents or prime ministers or whatever, and they were so busy. Oh, yes, we're celebrating the victory of World War II. Then I speak to another one, and they were celebrating. And the fact is, Russia was celebrating, France was celebrating, everybody was celebrating but us. And we're the ones that won the war. We won the war. And they helped. But without us, they don't win the war. We're all speaking German. You know that, right? Without us, they're speaking German, maybe a little Japanese too. We won the war, and we're the only ones that didn't celebrate. So what I did is I got my crack staff over there, and we did it every time. We have May 8th, and we also have the date in November, that sacred date in November for World War I, because we won that war too. But think of it, I'm calling. Now, we love France, right? But I think we did a little more to win the war than France did. Do we agree? You know, I don't want to be a wise guy. But when Hitler made his speech at the Eiffel Tower, I would say that wasn't exactly ideal. And I called up the president, Macron, good guy, by the way. Donald, we are celebrating our victory over the Germans. Oh, that's wonderful. No, we don't take credit for what we do. And I said, what the hell? Every country I've spoken to in the last week is celebrating the war but us. Isn't that terrible? So we're going to be doing holidays, but I said it has to be a working holiday because you can only do so many of them. We have a lot of holidays. I'm not so sure we should have them, and you don't have to go to work. Our country has to go to work. So we're going to have a working holiday for each one of those 2 dates, and we're going to be celebrating too, because we should celebrate more than anybody else. And others did help a lot, but nobody helped like us. We wouldn't have won. I mean, the fact is, not winnable without us. And now we're stronger than ever before. You know, I rebuilt the military in my first term. We had a great first term everywhere. We had the greatest economy ever, stock market up 88%, the biggest rise ever, all of that stuff. But the second term is going to be even better. We have over $10 trillion going to be invested in our country. And this little tour didn't hurt, I will tell you, between the 3 great places. I recently announced that I'll approve an unprecedented $1 trillion, as I told you. It's going to end up going higher, investment in the U.S. Armed Forces, and that's a record as part of that effort. I signed an order to build the Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our country from missile attack. Is everybody okay with that? It was called the Iron Dome, but I changed it to the Golden Dome. I thought it was a little more beautiful, maybe a little more modern or something. But we're going to have it, and it's amazing, actually, what they do. It's going to cost many billions of dollars, all made in the USA. I want it all made in the USA. The days of making our parts all over the world because we have wonderful partners. No, it's America first now, America first. We're going to make it all in the USA. And we're going to, by the way, it's America first, but we're going to take care of other countries. We're going to have plenty left over because we're doing things now. You know, 6 months ago, our country was laughed at. Now our country is respected again at a level that it hasn't seen in a long, long time. And we're going to keep it that way. And our Air Force will soon have the world's first and only 6th-generation fighter jet, the F-47. Why did they name it 47? Does anybody know? I don't know. That was a nice thing. But it's quite the plane. They say there's never been anything done. But we're also looking at an increased version of the F-35. I think we're going to call it the F-55, which will be a double-engine plane. I like 2 engines on a plane. I'm sorry if I say that. But does that make sense to anybody? Does anybody agree? General, do you agree with that? I like it. Thank you. So many of you, sir, this engine is infallible. No engine is infallible. I like 2 engines on a plane. Should have been made with 2 engines. If I were here, you would have had 2 engines, and you would have had a lot of other victories, by the way. But we're going to do, when you think of it, Russia, Ukraine would have never started. October 7th, Israel would have never happened because Iran, as you know, was broke. They were unable to fund Hamas or anything else. It wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had the disaster of Afghanistan, the leaving. We were getting out, but we're getting out with dignity and strength. We're going to keep Bagram Air Base. We weren't going to give that up because it's 1 hour away from China. 1 hour. You know who occupies it now? China. The damage that administration did to this country is legendary, allowing 21 million people through an open border where anybody could walk into the United States of America is something that will never be forgiven. Grossly incompetent and evil, bad people too, bad people. But the real strength of our military doesn't come from its fighter jets. It really comes from our people. That's you. It comes from our people. You're unbelievable people. The aptitude and all of the things you have to do what you do. You know, I look at some of those engines, and I'm a pretty smart cookie. I would tell you I'm real smart. And I look at you, and you take those engines apart and put them back together, blindfolded, and fix them up. It's amazing what you're able to do. And then to fly them, just incredible. You're incredible. You're a very special group of people. And that's why in my 2026 budget includes across the board. Maybe you don't want it. Look, for the good of the country, you don't have to take it. Pay raises for each and every one of you, substantial pay raises. But you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. You can go to your commanding officer and say, sir, I'd rather not take that pay. I love my country, sir. I refuse to take it. Anybody here, raise your hand, please, if you refuse to take it. Let's see here. All right. Well, at least we have smart people. That's good. So you do your duty for us, and as Commander-in-Chief, I will always do and fulfill my duty to you. That's what I'm doing. Under the Trump administration, we're liberating everything in our armed forces from really radical social experiments carried out under the previous administration and beyond that, and actually beyond that, and restoring the strong and fierce spirit of the American warrior and the American fighter. On day one, I signed an executive order stopping our service members from being forced to endure endless training sessions on political correctness. We don't care if you're politically correct. And I directed the reinstatement of all patriots expelled from our military by the COVID vaccine mandate, which should have never happened. They're being returned at their former rank with full back pay. Very important. After years of not making our enrollment targets, to me, this is the biggest thing. Our military suddenly has the best recruiting numbers that perhaps they've ever had, but certainly in 30 years. Think of that. You go back 6 months ago, we couldn't get people to join the military. Nobody wanted your job. Now everybody wants your job. So we went from having the worst numbers we've ever had in terms of recruitment. That included police officers also, firefighters, but police officers. But in the military, think of that. You couldn't get people to join the military, and now we're brimming over. We have the highest numbers we probably, minimum 30 years, but probably have ever had, because there's such an incredible spirit now in our country. We have a whole new spirit, and it began on a date, November 5th. That was Election Day. Under the Trump administration, America is back, and America's military is back, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Since my inauguration, service members stationed throughout this region have terminated 83 major terrorists operating across Iraq, Syria, and Somalia, including the #2, just recently, global leader of ISIS. And I knocked out ISIS, as you know, in my term. They said it was going to take 4 years. I said, why 4 years? That's a long time. And then I met a General Raisin Kane. He's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, right? And he was great. He said, we can do it in 3 weeks. I said, well, I was told 4 years, General, by your television generals in Washington, D.C. And he didn't want to be disrespectful to them. He said, sir, I'm telling you, if you want, we can do it in 3 weeks. And that's what he did. He knocked out 100% of the ISIS caliphate in 3 weeks. Should I tell you a little long, boring story about that? Yes? Okay, some of you have heard it because it's sort of a cool story, but I was wondering why we couldn't defeat, ISIS. We have this great military, all these great jets that we have new all over the place, the best in the world, the fastest, the best. And I went out and I said to a certain general in Washington, D.C., a television general, not much of there's a real general on television. You have the television guys and you have the real generals. And I said, General, how long will it take us? Because it doesn't make sense. We're spending a lot of money on defeating ISIS, and they don't have great equipment. They, in many cases, don't even have equipment. They're vicious, and they are good fighters. We always have to respect that. Sir, it'll take at least 5 years, sir. I said, 5 years? That's a long time. You mean we have jets, they have knives, and it's going to take 5 years? Yes, sir. I said, I don't really believe that. So I did something that I've never done before. I said, I want to go to Iraq, and I want to meet with the people in Iraq because maybe they're different, but I couldn't understand how a large and powerful terror group could last so long. And so I scheduled a flight, meaning I left at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was pitch black. We left very, very under guard. We traveled through Washington, D.C. There was nobody around. Got to the hangar at about 3:15. Air Force One was waiting for us. Pilots, best-looking human beings I've ever seen. Even better looking than Tom Cruise, and he's a friend of mine, okay? These guys were central casting, and they could also fly. And we headed out about 3:30 in the morning, pitch black. We headed for Iraq. And nobody knew I was going, nobody. And we're flying, and we're starting to get close. And they come to see me, and they say, sir, we have a problem. What? We're flying over enemy territory very soon, sir. Could we please turn off your lights? I said, my lights? We're flying in Air Force One. We just spent trillions of dollars on fighting, and you can't fly in with lights on? No, sir, it's very, very dangerous out there. So I said, obviously turn them off. Then he comes in addition to the lights, we want to turn down the shades. So I said, you mean not even shades? Okay, we turn down the shades. Then I said, I want to go upstairs. This is 747, 2 levels, beautiful plane. Just ordered new ones, by the way, beautiful new ones. And Boeing just, by the way, did the biggest order in the history of Boeing. Just did with your beautiful territory right here. They ordered, I think, 160 planes. I think it's the largest order ever for aircraft. So I salute the people from Boeing, Kelly, and everybody, and General Electric. The engines are General Electric Super Prime, and I really think it's great. Congratulations. But I go up to see the pilots because I love sitting with the pilots. I admire their skill. I really do. And amazing. Especially at a certain level. And when you fly Air Force One, supposedly you're the best pilot. So I hope that's true, by the way. But it seems to be. I have no complaints. We land, it's like always landing like glass. I've had pilots where when you land, it's not a pretty picture. In fact, you admire the plane so much for being able to keep apart. Sometimes I land with some of these guys. You're bouncing down the runway. I'm saying these planes are amazing that they don't crack up. But these pilots land, and the 747's a hard one to land, but they're great. So I go up, I see the pilots, I say, hi, Captain. The guy's a handsome guy. We've got a blonde flat top. I'd like to have a flat top like that. I don't know if the hair's good enough for that. I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to try it either. But perfect person, and I look at the right, he's perfect. Everybody was perfect. I like perfect human beings. I said, how are we doing, Captain? We're doing fine, sir. We'll be there in half hour, sir. I said, they want the lights turned off, Captain. And they do, yes, sir. They're doing the right thing. Oh, that's great, Captain. It's great. So now we're 15 more minutes, and all of a sudden, and most of you know the sound because that's what you do, but you have the computer voice, a beautiful voice where it says 1,000, 900, they're talking about feet. So when you're in the big planes and sophisticated planes, the voice comes on, and I'm sitting back there watching them fly it beautifully, and I'm still not 100% happy with the statement that he agrees that the lights should be turned off. I would have preferred that he said, no, there's no problem. But that's not what he said. So we're going through, and it goes 1,900, 800, 700. Talking about feet. Now, 700 is getting pretty close to the ground. I don't see a thing. There's no lights. There's no runway. And I've done this a lot. And I always see the runway in the distance. I have fairly good eyes. I'd say for my age, extremely good eyes. And I don't see a runway. 600, 500. Captain, are we okay? Yes, sir. We'll be landing in just a few minutes, sir. 400. Captain, are we okay? I don't see a runway up there, Captain. Oh, we're fine, sir. No problem, sir. 300, 200. I'm saying, Captain, you sure we're okay here? And he said, we're fine, sir. And then, boom, it just lands that thing so beautifully, and I see they had no light, they had no nothing. I don't know how the hell they do it, okay? All I know is we landed and for him it was routine, and I'm trying to pretend I'm cool as a cucumber. I'm your president. I'm supposed to be cool as a cucumber, and I'm like, I'm not happy. But after we land, I actually went to my people and I said, I want to ask you a question. I did a very brave thing just there. Is the president allowed to designate himself for the Congressional Medal of Honor? And they said, sir, honestly, that wouldn't be good. I said, okay. So anyway, I kid. I have to say I kid because the fake news is back there, and they'll actually, no, it's true. And they'll say that the president wanted to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor, and he was talked out of it by his staff. So anyway, I get, the door opens, we have a platform, and I look down and I see these are all specimens, just like you guys are all perfect people. And I'm seeing a couple of generals, a couple of staff sergeants and drill sergeants, but everybody's like from a movie. And I walk out of the plane and meet the first gentleman. And I said, what's your name? He said, Kane, sir. My name is Kane. And I said, hello, Kane. What's your first name? Well, they call me Raisin. I said, wait a minute. Raisin? You mean like Raisin Kane? Yes, sir. That's what they call me. General, I love you. You're the guy I'm looking for, General. You're the guy I'm looking for. So is Raisin Kane. It's Daniel Kane, but Raisin Kane, that's what they call him. Then I met another general. I met a colonel. I met a sergeant. They said, sir, would you like to rest? I said, what do you mean rest? I've been resting on the plane. I don't want to rest. What do I have to rest for? He was thinking about Biden to come, okay? Biden would have rested the entire trip. First of all, he wouldn't have made the trip. But if he landed, he would have been rested for about 5 days before he had the first meeting. I said, no, let's go have the meeting because I want to find out what's going on over here. We're spending a lot of money, and people are being killed. I want to find out why it's taken so long, so let's go right away. So we went to almost like just a very secure room that was in the form of a boardroom. Very professional, however. It was very highly sophisticated with the equipment. Best you can buy. We have the best you can buy all the time. But I went into the room and I said, General, so they tell me in Washington it would take 4 to 5 years to defeat ISIS. And I want to know from you, is that true? Or is that, no, sir. But it's not my place to say, sir, because they are the ones that call the shots. I said, well, if you disagreed, it's not the military way, sir. You have to listen to them. That's a chain of command. I said, oh, that's great. I'm not sure I like that system. But how long do you think it would take you if I gave you total authority to go in and knock the hell out of them? So it would take approximately 3 weeks. I say it again, General. I was told 5 years. Sir, it'll take 3 weeks and you'll have time left over. I said, you got to be kidding me. Where the hell have you been? And then I sort of was really in disbelief because I said, I've been hearing for so long, and we've been fighting it. How long will we fight him? 18 years or something? And here's the guy telling me 3 weeks.
So I said, General, how do you do it in 3 weeks? He says, well, sir, I don't like saying this because I do have people in Washington, but I'm going to say it. We have portable stations, we have portable runways, we have runways all over the place, we have other bases, and we're being forced to fight them from a very far away, distant base, which is right here. And by the time we get there, we have to come back because there's no fuel, and we're way too far away, sir, and they're over here, and he shows me a map, and we're over here, and we're all the way here, sir. I said, why didn't they use the other bases? Well, they didn't want to disturb the country where those bases were located. I said, we give those countries billions of dollars. We can disturb them a little bit. They wouldn't know what we're doing anyway. Are they going to know where the planes are going? Not really, sir. I said, so what would you do different? He said, well, sir, I'd start from here, and he went through a whole thing. Then I'd hit him from the left. I'd hit him from the right. I'd hit him from underneath. I'd hit him from the top. I'd hit him from every angle, sir. I'd hit him so hard and so fast they wouldn't know what the hell is happening. I said, and you think you can do that in 3 weeks? Yes, sir, and we're going to have time left over. And I said, let me think about it, General. I went back to Washington, and I spoke to a couple of people, and they said, I don't think so, sir. I think you're talking about years of fighting. And then I called the general, and I said, so, General, you still think you can do it in 3 weeks? A lot of people think you can't even come close to that, sir. We'll have time left over. I said, go to it, General, go to it. Thank you, sir. And he hit the hell out of him. He hit the hell out of him. And he calls me up, sir, we have a lot of these people, and if you want, I can finish it off right now, sir. I said, well, I don't know, that's a lot. It's a lot of people. Well, these people are not good people, sir. These are not good people. You'll feel better about it. Well, they're not good people, but they're people, aren't they? And he goes, I said, you know what? Why don't you buzz them for a little while, and maybe after a day or two of buzzing them, they'll surrender. They don't know about surrendering, sir. Well, maybe they'll raise the white flag. They don't have a white flag, sir. I said, well, give it a shot anyway. He said, all we're going to do is take a couple of bullet holes in our wings. You guys know about that, right? And I said, well, let's give it a shot. And he calls up and says, let me do the job, sir. I said, all right, do the job. And we defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate in just a very short little period of time, totally different from what I was told in Washington, D.C. by a bunch of frickin' losers, okay? Losers. And that's the beginning. And I took that general and made him the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as I told you. And he's going to be great, and he's highly respected by everybody. Just a different kind of respect, too. It's a real respect. But we can do our job better than anybody in the world, but you have to have the leadership of the top at the top. And we're doing that. We're finding, we let a lot of 4-stars go. A lot of we had more 4-stars. We had, I think, 425 4-stars. In World War II, which, by the way, we won, in World War II, we had 187 generals. And we had like 425 generals now, without really a war. And so we made a lot of changes, and we have the best. We have the best. We worked hard to figure the best, the real ones. We want the real generals, not the fake generals, and not the political generals, too. So we have something that's special, but it can show you really what happened. We also just apprehended, as an example, the ISIS terrorist of the Al-Baghdad, the one that caused all of the problems in Afghanistan, caused unbelievable destruction. We lost 13 great soldiers. I got to know the parents and the families of those soldiers. But you know what they don't say is the ones who were so horribly wounded, which were many. And hundreds of people were killed from the other side. I always include that. That should have never happened. That whole mess should have never happened. I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And we're not going to have things like that happen anymore. And again, we should have kept the air base. We should have kept it. We let it go. Then we left, and it was a very embarrassing moment in the history of our country. That'll never happen again. There are a lot of people that said that Russia went into Ukraine when they saw that, they said, wow, we didn't think that was possible, but it's not possible any longer, I can tell you. That's another one would have never happened if I were president. Russia would have never gone into Ukraine. All of those things, they would have never happened. But the Afghanistan withdrawal, not the fact that they withdrew, but the fact that the way they did it was so horrible and so embarrassing. So we brought this horrible person to justice, to American justice. We caught the person that set off that bomb. And all of this is possible because of the work that you do with partnerships that you forge. In this case, it was Pakistan. And by the way, I don't want to say I did, but I sure as hell helped settle the problem between Pakistan and India last week, which was getting more and more hostile. And all of a sudden, you'll start seeing missiles of a different type. And we got it settled. I hope I don't walk out of here and 2 days later find out that it's not settled, but I think it is settled. And we talked to them about trade. Let's do trade instead of do war. And Pakistan was very happy with that, and India was very happy with that. And I think they're on the way. You know, they have been fighting for about 1,000 years, in all fairness. So I said, you know, I could settle that up. I can settle anything. Let me settle it up. Let's get them all together. How long have you been fighting? About 1,000 years. Oh, that's a lot. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about settling. That's a tough one. They've been fighting for a long time. But we got that settled. Everybody was very happy, I'll tell you. That looked like it was really going to be escalating out of control. But with us today is the first sergeant of the 379th Wing, Master Sergeant Patrick Elders. Patrick, wherever you may be. Where are you, Patrick? Handsome guy. Wow. I'm looking at him from here, and it says after having served 22 years, he's a lot. How long have you been in, Patrick? Wow, that's amazing. It looks like he's like 25 years old. I'm saying 22 years. They said, we must have this mixed up. We don't have it mixed up. I guess when you love what you do, you stay young, right? And he loves what he does, no doubt about it. But having served over 22 years in the Air Force, he's one of his, right now, this is his 6th deployment. But this time it's a little different because his stepson, Airman First Class Ashton Inman, is on his own first ever deployment nearby in Kuwait, right now in Kuwait, which is really incredible. Master Sergeant Elders is proud that 2 generations of his family are now serving the same mission in the same theater, protecting the same great American flag. So say hello to him. Thank you very much. Very nice. A lot of stories like that. A lot of stories like that, and I want to thank Airman First Class Inman also very much. That's a great story. That's a great story, and we have many of them. I guarantee in this room right now there are many such stories. There are several married couples serving side by side in uniform at this base, including Staff Sergeants Tyler and Paige Duck. Where is Tyler and Paige? For years, they grew their relationship while Paige was deployed in the UK and Tyler was halfway around the world at Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson in Alaska, conquering a 14-hour time difference. That's a lot of time difference. And now they're together at Al Udeid, and it's really great. So, Staff Sergeants, congratulations. It's fantastic. The American people never forget that our service members and their families make incredible sacrifices each and every day so that all Americans can be safe and be free. And we love our amazing military families. Our military families are as good as you can get. The men and women here today are part of a noble tradition of service that has been passed down from one generation of Americans to the next. And your spirit and courage and sacrifice has always been there when we needed you the most. You're always there when we need you the most. With us today is Master Sergeant Michael Schlow, who happens to be from a small town in a place called Butler, Pennsylvania. Has anybody heard of Butler, Pennsylvania? Yeah. Michael is a member of the Air Force Reserve as well as Butler County Corrections Officer. And last July 13th, he attended the rally where an assassin tried to take my life. He gave it a shot. Not good. That was someday. As soon as the shots were fired, Michael raced to direct law enforcement toward the sniper's perch, then worked to evacuate the rest of the crowd in a very safe manner. But Master Sergeant Schlow would be the first to tell you who the real hero was that day. He personally knew and really liked veteran firefighter, also a veteran of the military, great veteran of the military, who laid down his life for his country, really laid down his life for his country. His whole life was about his country. Corey Comparator, and he's become somewhat of a legend, I will tell you. He took a hard shot. He took a hard shot guarding his family. Master Sergeant Schlow, your commitment represents the very best in America. Thank you for your incredible service that day and forever, because that day was a horrible day, but you acted with incredible bravery. We've got reports about what you did. It was really amazing, and I personally appreciated it. That was a rough day. We don't want to have days like that. But Corey was an incredible guy, lost his life, guarding his wife and children. Every American warrior here today inherits a legacy of exceptional patriots who have defended our freedom for nearly 250 years. You carry on the glorious tradition of the heroes of Lexington and Concord, Gettysburg and Belleau Wood, Normandy and Midway. You embody the spirit of the soldiers who hoisted the flag over Fort McHenry and the Marines who planted the stars and stripes on the summit to Iwo Jima. That was a rough attack. You carry forward the mission of generations of Americans before you who marched through halls of gunfire, trekked over rugged mountains, stormed across scorching deserts, sailed through hostile waters, conquered unknown dangers, and poured out their blood and guts on battlefields all over the world. The military is incredible, and we won our independence. We preserved our union, protected our way of life, defeated fascism, crushed terrorism, liberated millions and millions of people from bondage, and brought communism to its knees. It's what we did. And now we're going to defend America from all enemies, overcome all obstacles and dangers, and as one nation, we're going to build a future of peace and prosperity for generations to come. Together we will stand strong, we will stand proud, we will live free, and we will fight, 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 and win, win, win. So my trip is 4.5 days, but this is the one I was so looking forward because I'm with the people that I really love and respect. And we love and respect you. This is what you're doing, the service you do for your country. You keep us safe. There is no more important profession. And I was so proud to see those reports coming in just a few days ago saying that the enrollment is at the highest level ever, especially when I had to suffer running against a group of people that were very inappropriate, where they allowed that reputation of what you stood for and what you stand for to deteriorate to a point where we weren't able to recruit. So just remember this, you have a job now that everybody wants. Everybody wants to be doing what you're doing. It's a special job, and I'm so proud. When I saw those numbers come across the board that we set the record for enrollment in the military, and we took that from the exact opposite just 6 months before. I was very, very proud of that. We have a great country. We have a proud country. We have a country that's respected all over the world. And as I said before, a year ago we were laughed at, but nobody's laughing at our country anymore. We're the most respected country anywhere in the world. And thank you very much, and enjoy your lives, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So to let you know, this is the birth certificate of Donald Trump's grandfather, born in 1869, close to Bad Dürkheim.
Right?
Yeah.
That's called
And his
Sirius.
Christian name was Friedrich.
Right? That's serious German.
Serious German name.
That's serious. Bad Dürkheim is serious German. But I want to thank you very much for. First of all, I want to thank you for that. That's beautiful.
pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Fantastic. We'll put it up in a place of honor.
Yeah.
Maybe we can. Let's see. To put it up there someplace. It's an honor to have you. As you know, the Chancellor just won a great election, very, very strong election. Very respected man. I can tell you, we've been on the phone many times talking about some of the problems of the world outside of Germany. And it's very sad what's going on. We both feel that way. What's going on with Russia, Ukraine, and other things we talk about, but Russia, Ukraine in particular. I'd like to see it end, and maybe it'll end, but we get some news there'll be some fighting. Something happened a couple of days ago, and now they do a return, and here it goes. It's not good. He's unhappy about it. I'm unhappy about it. But I think eventually we're going to be successful in stopping the bloodshed. It's pure bloodshed. 5,000-6,000 young soldiers a week are being killed. You know that those numbers
Yeah,
are.
we know the numbers.
They're staggering. They're staggering numbers. But Chancellor, I just want to congratulate you, and I want to welcome you to the Oval Office.
Thank you.
It's an Oval Office that's in very good shape. We like fixing things up and having them tippy-top like they have in Germany. They do that in Germany very much, and we do it here. We're having a very good run. I also had a great election, great win, won everything. Won the popular vote, all 7 swing states, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's pretty unusual to do that. And we have a great mandate from the people, and part of our mandate is we're going to have a great relationship with your country. So I just want to thank you very much for being here, and if you'd like to say a few words.
Absolutely. So, thank you, first of all, Mr. President, for your kind invitation to come to Washington, D.C. I was in this building first time ever in 1982, I told you, when
Right.
former President Ronald Reagan was in office. So I'm very happy to be here again and to offer our close cooperation with the United States of America.
Yeah.
We are having so much in common, our history. We owe the Americans a lot. We will never forget about that. And so with your German provenance, I think this is a very good basis for close cooperation between America and Germany. So again, thank you. Thank you for the hospitality, and thank you for having your guest house for a night. This is
Good, it
a
was
great
very nice,
place. Great place. Many thanks for that. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's a wonderful place. It's a landmark also. And Blair House, it's a nice place to stay. Good. Thank you very much for saying that. Would you have any questions, please?
Mr. President, on your new travel ban, why now? And if the Boulder attack was part of your reasoning, why not include Egypt on that list where the suspect is from?
Well, because Egypt has been a country that we deal with very closely. They have things under control. The countries that we have don't have things under control. And why now? I can say that it can't come soon enough, frankly. We want to keep bad people out of our country. The Biden administration allowed some horrendous people, and we're getting them out one by one, and we're not stopping until we get them out. We have thousands of murderers. I even hate to say this in front of the Chancellor. Of course, you have a little problem too with some of the people that were allowed into your country. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It shouldn't have happened. I told her it shouldn't have happened what she did, but you have your own difficulty with that, and we do, and we're moving them out, and we're moving them out very strongly. But it can't come fast enough. We want to get them out. We want to get them out now. We don't want to have other bad people coming into our country. But using the word bad, I'm being nice. Okay,
The Democrats says a distraction.
President, you put out on Truth Social a post regarding your conversation with President Xi.
Right.
Can you talk about whether or not you feel that trade talks, trade relations are back on track after appearing to be a little bit off track last week?
A little bit off track. It was only the complexity. It's pretty complex stuff. We had a very good conversation with President Xi a little while ago, just before your arrival. In fact, we just hung up, and they said, "You're here." I said, "That's pretty good." Two great leaders of the world in a very short period of time. We had a very good talk. and we've straightened out any complexity. And it's very complex stuff, and we straighten it out. The agreement was we're going to have Scott and Howard and Jameson will be going and meeting with their top people and continue it forward. But no, I think we have everything. I think we're in very good shape with China and the trade deal. We have a deal with China, as you know, but we were straightening out some of the points, having to do mostly with rare earth, magnets, and some other things.
So those reduced trade tariff rates, they remain in effect?
Yeah, we have the deal. I mean, we've had a deal. We announced the deal, and we'll be. I guess you could say, I wouldn't even say finalizing it up, Scott. I would say we have a deal, and we're going to just make sure that everybody understands what the deal is. Okay. We had a really good conversation. By the way, he invited me to China, and I invited him here. We're both accepted. So I'll be going there with the First Lady at a certain point, and he'll be coming here hopefully with the First Lady of China. Go ahead, please.
Did you talk about the Chinese students? Are you allowing them to come to
Oh yeah,
to the
no,
US?
Chinese students are coming. No problem. No problem.
Okay,
On Germany.
It's our honor to have them, frankly. Look, we want to have foreign students, but we want them to be checked. You know, in the case of Harvard and Columbia and others, all we want to do is see their list. There's no problem with that. This is anybody outside of our country, international students, because when we see some of the people that we've been watching, we say, where do these people come from? How is that possible? No, we want to have foreign students come. We're very honored by it, but we want to see their list. Harvard didn't want to give us the list. They're going to be giving us the list now. I think they're starting to behave, actually, if you want to know the truth.
Okay,
Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
On Russia, are you willing to put more pressure on Putin to end the war by imposing new sanctions on Russia and also on China?
Well, remember, I'm the one that ended Nord Stream 2, going to a place called Germany, come to think of it. I'm sorry I did that. I don't know. But I ended Nord Stream 2. Nobody else did. And then when Biden came in, he immediately approved it. That's the largest, essentially the largest pipeline in the world, going to Germany and other countries. And by the way, we have so much oil and gas, you will not be able to buy it all. I mean, you literally, we have so much, and I hope we're going to make that a part of our trade deal because we have more than anybody else. We have actually the most by far in the world, probably double what anyone else has. So we'll work on that. I'm sure that's something we'll discuss today.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
What do you expect from Germany and what do you expect from the Chancellor?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to meet because I've been dealing with the Chancellor, and he's a very good man to deal with. He's difficult, I would say. Can I say that? It's a positive.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't want me to say you're easy, right? No. He's a very great representative of Germany. I think all we want is just going to have a good relationship. The rest will just sort of follow very easily. We'll have a good trade deal. I mean, I guess that will be mostly determined by the European Union, but you're a very big part of that, so you'll be involved. But we'll end up hopefully with a trade deal or we'll do something. You know, we'll do the tariffs. I mean, I'm okay with the tariffs, or we make a deal with the trade, and I guess that's what we're discussing now.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Back there, please, go ahead.
Mr. President?
No, not
Okay.
you.
Is Germany
I've
doing
had
enough
enough
on
of it.
defense, Mr. President? Is Germany doing enough on defense?
What?
Defense spending.
Is Germany doing enough on defense spending?
The Chancellor wants to.
Is Germany doing enough?
Chancellor wants to spend 3.5.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't discussed it very much. I know that you're spending more money on defense now, and quite a bit more money. And that's a positive thing. I'm not sure that General MacArthur would have said it's positive. You know, he wouldn't like it, but I sort of think it's good. You understand what I mean by that?
I understand.
He made a statement: "Never let Germany rearm." And I said, I always think about that when he says, "Sir, we're spending more money on defense." I say, "Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing?" I think it's a good thing. But, you know, at least to a certain point. There'll be a point when I'll say, "Please don't arm anymore, if you don't mind." We'll be watching him.
Mr. President. Biden.
Yeah, Biden? You said Biden?
Your predecessor dismissed your AutoPen investigation, saying he made all the decisions during the presidency. I'm curious your reaction to his dismissal.
Well, look, the AutoPen, I think, is the big scandal
outside of the rigged election of 2020, I think the biggest scandal of the last many years is the AutoPen. And who's using it? I happen to think I know, okay, because I'm here. And I'm not a big AutoPen person, fortunately. I'm glad. I'm very glad. It's an easy way out. But it's a very bad thing, very dangerous. You know, I sign important documents. Usually when they put documents in front of you, they're important. Even if you're signing ambassadorships, and I consider that important. I think it's inappropriate. You have somebody that's devoting 4 years of their life or more to being an ambassador. I think you really that person deserves to get a real signature, not an AutoPen signature. And I can tell AutoPen easily. I can look at it. Like two little pinholes from pulling the paper, right? You always see the pinholes. It's real easy to tell about AutoPen. I think it's very disrespectful to people when they get an AutoPen signature. Outside, AutoPen to me are used when thousands of letters come in from young people all over the country and you want to get them back. And, you know, people use AutoPens for that, to send a little signature at the bottom of a letter. We have thousands of them. We get thousands of letters a week. And it's not possible to, do. I'd like to do it myself, but you can't do it. To me, that's where AutoPens start and stop. But I'm sure that he didn't know many of the things. Look, he was never for open borders. He was never for transgender for everybody. He was never for men playing in women's sports. I mean, he changed. I mean, all of these things that changed so radically. I don't think he had any idea that frankly, I said it during the debate and I say it now, he didn't have much of an idea what was going on.
Mr. President,
he shouldn't be. I mean, essentially, whoever used the AutoPen was the president. And that is wrong, it's illegal, it's so bad, and it's so disrespectful to our country.
Mr. President.
Mr. President, will you lead your troops in Germany? And if I may ask a question to the Chancellor to answer in German for the German audience, how has your first encounter been?
The answer is yes. We'll talk about that. But if they'd like to have them there, we have a lot of them, about 45,000. It's a lot of troops. It's a city when you think of it. That's good economic development. They're highly paid troops, and they spend a lot of money in Germany. But the relationship with Germany is very important. Yeah, we'll be doing that. No problem.
May I say a few words in German?
Yes, please.
So, danke für die Frage. Wir sind hier im Weißen Haus und ich bedanke mich beim Präsidenten für den sehr freundlichen Empfang im Oval Office, in diesem weltweit bekannten Raum. Ich freue mich sehr, hier zu sein und wir bereiten eine Vertiefung unserer Zusammenarbeit vor. Ich freue mich sehr darüber.
Mr. President, you've made
Do you speak English because you speak such good English? Is it as good as your German, would you say? Now, do you feel more comfortable?
No, it's not my mother tongue, but I try to understand almost everything and to speak as good as I can.
Very good. You know,
Mr. President, you've made
it's an achievement, actually.
Mr. President,
can I follow up on the AutoPen?
Thank you, Mr. President. The criticism that I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen, regarding Elon Musk and your big, beautiful bill. What's your reaction to that? Do you think it in any way hurts passage in the Senate, which, of course, what is you're seeking?
Well, look, I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. It's the biggest cut in the history of our country. We've never cut. It's about 1.6 trillion in cuts. It's the biggest tax cut. You would say people's taxes will go way down, but it's the biggest tax cut in history. We are doing things in that bill that are unbelievable. And when you look at what we're doing for small businesses, for people, for middle-income people, all of the things that we're doing, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And, Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate, and which was a lot of money for electric vehicles. And, they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles. And they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. And, Elon knew this from the beginning. He knew it for a long time ago. That's been in there. That's been, I would say, JD, that hasn't changed. That's been right from the beginning. Mr. Secretary, that hasn't changed at all, right from the beginning. But I know that it disturbed him. He wanted, and rightfully, he recommended somebody from that he, I guess, knew very well. I'm sure he respected him, but to run NASA.
and I didn't think it was appropriate. And he happened to be a Democrat, like totally Democrat. And I say, you know, look, we won. We get certain privileges, and one of the privileges we don't have to appoint a Democrat. NASA is very important. We have great people. General Kane is going to be picking somebody with our. We'll be checking him out, seeing. But he wanted that person, a certain person, and we said no. And you know, I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is, so you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development moves anywhere. We've never done anything like it. Business is spurred. And I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but the numbers came out. Even the CBO, which is run by Democrats, said that we're going to be doing, you know, I'd like you to discuss it, the 2.8 trillion, that CBO. This is a group of people that are Democrats. They're very hostile to us. They just came out with phenomenal numbers, what it does. You want to mention that, Scott?
Yes, sir. So what we've seen is we keep hearing from the CBO that there's going to be a large deficit from the bill, which we disagree with, but using the CBO scoring, they came out and scored the tariff revenue. We think it'll be the minimum of $2.8 trillion over the 10-year window, which actually puts the bill in surplus if you include the tariff revenue, which they won't do.
It gives you a tremendous surplus, but we're not allowed to use that. For some reason, they say scoring. Nobody knows what scoring means. Maybe a couple of people, but nobody. Somebody sits in the background. They say, well, we're not going to allow that. They're not allowing other things that we have that are tremendously profitable for our country. But if you saw the other day, CNBC, they came out with numbers, and the people on the show, very good people, I've watched them for a long time, they couldn't believe the numbers, how good they are. The numbers were incredible, and that was personal income and also very low inflation. We have very low inflation. We're down to 2% now, and maybe even lower than that. And when I took it over, it was a mess. Remember, we had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but let's say I think it's worse than that. So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country under the Biden administration. Now we're down to a beautiful number, 2%. You'd actually like to keep it there. Better than zero is 2%. It's going down maybe to 1, and 1% is like perfect. That's perfect. You don't want to have zero for certain reasons that nobody is very interested to listen to. But we have almost perfect inflation. Grocery prices are down. Everything. Remember eggs? Eggs. We weren't going to buy another egg for the next 20 years. They were so expensive, right? Remember? You guys all hit me about eggs. Eggs have come down 400%. Everybody has eggs now. They're having eggs for breakfast again. But if you look at gasoline, very important. I think always the most important because it's the energy is the biggest factor. That's what happened. He screwed up our energy policy, and everything went up because energy went up. But now energy is way down, and they have states where you're at $1.98 a gallon for gasoline. So the costs have come way down, and one of the things I ran on was that. I ran on the border. We have the best border in the history of our country, 99.99%. It was last week, 3 people came in, 2 of them for medical reasons. We let them in because one of them had a heart attack. I think it was a nice thing to do, and one of them had something else. So we've never I had very good numbers for 4 years, but we really topped it. And I want to thank Christie and Tom Homan. They've done a fantastic job. But nobody mentions that anymore. Remember, a few months ago, the border was a total disaster. People were coming in by the hundreds of thousands of people a day, a week, a month. I mean, we had a month, 2 million people came in 1 month. the border was being overrun, and a lot of bad people, criminals, murderers, drug dealers. We had some of the worst people in the world coming in from all over the world. It's totally closed. And you know what? People are coming into our country, but they're coming in legally. So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up and campaigned for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible. But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, it became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
To that end, Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one. I was telling the Chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's, World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly, and some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it. You'll let us know. Yeah.
Mr. President, speaking of ending wars in this room, you were very critical of Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. What kind of play is he playing from your perspective? What are his
Well, look, he got hit. He's been doing hitting, so I understand it. But he got hit hard. And I don't think he's playing games. I think I've always said he wanted the whole thing. I thought he wanted the entire, everything having to do with Ukraine. That's something that would have never happened if I were president. The election was rigged. I didn't get to be president, but I got to be president now. And I think it's a much more important presidency. Other than a couple of things like that, the war would have never happened. The war with Ukraine, with Putin, would have never happened, ever, not even a chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. And it wasn't thought of. I used to talk to him about Ukraine a lot. It was the apple of his eye, but he would have never done what he did. And I think mistakes were made by him, but I think mistakes were made by other people. The president should have never allowed that war. Biden should have never allowed that war to happen. If you had the right guy in here, that war would have never happened. Israel would have never happened with Hamas. That would have never happened. The attack on Israel would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They had no money to give to Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. And all of that would have never happened. Inflation wouldn't have happened. It was caused mostly by energy. And the Biden administration messed up my great energy policy. We were down into the 190 a gallon, and it would have never happened. It was caused by energy and their bad spending on the Green New Scam and other things that they spent on. But all of those things would have never happened. But maybe most importantly, the war, Chancellor, with Russia would never have happened with Ukraine. It was something that would have, you know, I dealt with Putin a lot. There was no chance, zero. And you know, a lot of people say, how do you know? For 4 years it didn't happen. There was never a chance of it happening. And he understood the consequences. Now, it's a shame. And when you see all of those people, they came out with a report today that millions of people have died, much more than people thought. And I've been saying that for a long time. The amount of death in that war is far greater than the news has been reporting, or than, frankly, that either side has been reporting. It's a very sad thing. And I can tell you, just speaking for the Chancellor, because we speak about it, he feels the same way. He wants to see it ended. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. And I'm here, Mr. President, to talk with you later on how we could contribute to that goal. And we all are looking for measures and for instruments to bring this terrible war to an end. And may I remind you that we are having June 6th tomorrow. This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended the war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant day.
This was not a great day.
In the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true. That's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine, and that we are looking for more pressure on Russia. The European Union did, and we should talk about that.
We will talk about it. And, you know, it's good timing. The numbers for our country are through the roof, the economic numbers, because of the election and because of tariffs and other things, a lot of things. But we've had some of the best numbers we've ever had. They were reported yesterday, the day before, and even today. Country's doing really well. I think that one of the things you'd be most interested in is that 6 months ago we were having a hard time getting anybody to join our military. I mean, they just couldn't do it. The numbers were record low. We couldn't get people to join the military. It wasn't me. It was before I got there, the past administration. But 6 months ago, a year ago, the numbers were record low. You couldn't get them to join. That included the police. And you couldn't get them to join. Now, we just hit the highest number in the history of our country, we think, but very close, but the highest in the history of our country, recruitment, joining the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, police forces all over the country.
What did you do for that? What was the reason?
Spirit. They love our country again. You're going to do the same thing. Spirit.
Mr. President,
we have great spirit is back in our country, and it's very simple. And, you know, it was only, Susie, 6 months ago, right, that you got reports, you're the one that released them, that you couldn't get anybody to join the military, and now we're stocked. Every service now is packed, and we have waiting lists of people trying to get in, as good as we've ever had in the history of our country. So that's an honor. That's a great honor.
Mr. President,
Mr. President, on the war.
You've asked. You've had enough. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, so would you consider to put more sanctions on Russia? Because this discussion is going on now for weeks and months, and you tweeted about it once, but then nothing happens. So
when I see the moment when we're not going to make a deal, when this thing won't stop,
is there a deadline?
At that moment, yeah, it's in my brain, the deadline. When I see the moment where it's not going to stop, and I'm sure you're going to do the same thing, will be very, very, very tough. And it could be on both countries, to be honest. You know, it takes two to tango. But we're going to be very tough. Whether it's Russia or anybody else, we're going to be very tough. That's a bloodbath that's going on over there. And when I see the moment where I say, well, they're going to just keep fighting, You know, I gave the analogy yesterday when I spoke to President Putin. I had a 2-hour and 15-minute call with him. Sometimes, and this is me speaking maybe in a negative sense, but sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. I said, President, maybe you're going to have to keep fighting and suffering a lot because both sides are suffering before you pull them apart, before they're able to be pulled apart. But it's a pretty known analogy. You have two kids, they fight. Sometimes you let them fight for a little while. You see it in hockey. You see it in sports. The referees let them go for a couple of seconds, let them go for a little while before you pull them apart. And maybe, and I said it, and maybe that's a negative because we're saying go, but a lot of bad blood. There's some bad blood between the two. I have to deal with it, and the Chancellor has to deal with it. It's incredible. The level of, there's a great hatred between those two men, but between the warring parties. Great hatred.
What made you say and believe apparently that there's no immediate peace?
What?
That there's no immediate peace. There will no.
Well, I can't. I'd love to have immediate if I could.
But why
if I could, but we don't have immediate. You know, it's like I'd love to have that. I'd like it to start right now. We would leave a room if we knew the war could end. We'd say, forget about you guys. Forget about trade, right?
Yeah.
We'd say, let's go settle it. There's some additional fighting that's going to go on. You know, he attacked, and they attacked pretty harshly. They went deep into Russia, and he actually told me. I mean, I made it very clear. He said we have no choice but to attack based on that, and it's probably not going to be pretty. I don't like it. I said, don't do it. You shouldn't do it. You should stop it. But again, there's a lot of hatred. And, you know, I'm very proud of the fact that with India and Pakistan, I was able to stop that. And those are nuclear powers. That was getting close to being out of hand. And I spoke to some very talented people on both sides, very good people on both sides. And I said, you know, we're dealing with you on trade, Pakistan and India right now. I said, we're not going to deal with you on trade if you're going to go shooting each other and whipping out nuclear weapons that maybe even affect us. Because, you know, that nuclear dust blows across oceans very quickly. It affects us. And I said, if you're going to do that, we're not going to do any trade deals. And you know what? I got that war stopped. Now, I hope we don't go back and we find out that they signed it, but I don't think they will. They were both good. They were well represented. I want to congratulate both countries because, as you know, the leader of India, who's a great guy, was here a few weeks ago. We had some great talks. We're doing a trade deal. And Pakistan, likewise. They have very, very strong leadership. Some people won't like when I say that, but, you know, it is what it is. And they stopped that war. Now, am I going to get credit? I'm not going to get credit for anything. They don't give me credit for anything. But nobody else could have done it. I stopped it. I was very proud of that. I wish we could do the same thing with Ukraine and Russia. And at some point it'll happen. I believe that. And if it doesn't happen, or if I see somebody's out of line, if Russia's out of line, you'll be amazed how tough. Remember this. They like to say that I'm friends with Russia. I'm not friends with anybody. I'm friends with you. I'm not friends with that. I want the right thing to happen for our country, for everybody, for humanity. But I'm the one that stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Until I came along, nobody ever heard, not one person in this room ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You probably did, yes, because it went to Germany. He's the only one that heard
this was a mistake.
But I stopped him. I stopped it. Yeah, and you've said that openly. Yeah. It was a mistake because, and I used to go with Angela. I'd say, well, wait a minute. We're spending all this money to defend you against Russia, and then you're giving Russia billions of dollars a month. What kind of a deal is that? You know, which was, but you said it better than anybody else. I appreciate it. But I'm the one that stopped it. And that was the biggest economic development job, if you want to call it that, in the history, think of it, in the history of Russia. That was a massive, it's the biggest pipeline in the world. going to go all over Europe, not only to Germany. You know, they're Germany, but then they were branching off all over to Europe. Nobody ever heard of, not one person of you heard of it. And I stopped it. It was dead. And then they say, I'm friends with Putin. I got along with him. He respected me, I respected him. It would have never happened. But I stopped Nord Stream 2. When Biden came in, almost the first week, he approved it. He let it be built. And then they say that I wasn't tough on Russia. Putin said to me, you know, you're not tough on Russia. You stopped the biggest, most important job we've ever done. You stopped it. And Biden came in and he let it be built. And I'll tell you what, I'll never forget the day. I had it totally stopped. They weren't building. They gave up on it. They weren't able to. And then Biden came in and he let him build. I couldn't believe it. Okay, one or two questions more, please. Any question for the Chancellor?
Yes.
Go ahead, for the Chancellor.
That would be one.
I like his answers much better.
Well, would you continue to support Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm with Ukraine. We just signed a big deal on rare earth with Ukraine, and we want to. I want to. You know what? I'm for stopping killing. Really, that's what I'm for. Again, a war that would have never started, should have never started. I want to see the killing stop. We spent $350 billion, much more than Europe, but Europe spent a lot also, and they spent way over $100 billion.
Yeah.
So you're talking about close to $500 billion went into that whole thing. And it's not even the money, and I know with you too, it's a lot of money, but it's the death that's being caused. We went to the Middle East. I went last week to the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. That's many, many times. That's 30, 40 times, 50 times more than what we're talking about. It's think of that, $5.1 trillion of investment with one trip that lasted 4 days. So it's not the money. It's a little the money, but not the money, the big thing. The big thing is the death. The death of, and really the decimation. You've lost a whole culture. You know, Ukraine had the most beautiful turrets. They call them turrets. Little towers, beautiful towers. The most beautiful in the world. They're all now laying on their side, blown to smithereens. It'll never happen again. They've taken away the culture of a country. They've taken away the heritage of a country. It's a terrible thing. But most importantly, again, is the death. 5,000 plus people a week, soldiers, are being killed. He doesn't want that, and I don't want that. One more. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you support the Graham bill on putting high tariffs?
I have not looked at it, but they'll be guided by me. That's the way it's supposed to be. They're going to be guided by me. No, I haven't looked at it. It's a bill on sanctions, etc. I'm a very quick study. At the right time, I'll do what I want to do. But it could very well be okay. I'll have to see. But they're waiting for me to decide on what to do, and I'll know maybe very soon. It's a harsh bill. Yeah, very harsh.
How about one more on the auto, Mr. President? You want to take one more on the auto pen?
Go ahead.
I would like to have a question for Cass as well. Because, do you agree with the analogy the President made on the war between Russia and Ukraine as being a fight between two kids? Is that how you view that as well? And what do you actually want the U.S. President to do in this?
Well, I think we both agree on this war and how terrible this war is going on, and we are both looking for ways to stop it very soon. And I told the President before we came in that he is the key person in the world who can really do that now by putting pressure on Russia. And we will have this debate later on again, how we can proceed jointly between the Europeans and the Americans. And I think we are all we are having the duty to do something on that now to stop it after 3.5 years, which is really terrible. Look at the kids, the kids which were kidnapped from Ukraine to Russia. This is all terrible. And so we are talking about instruments, measures, what we can do, and my personal view is clear on that. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we are trying to get them stronger and stronger just to make Putin stop this war. And this is our approach.
We get satellite pictures of the war field, and you don't even like to look at them, right?
It's terrible.
So
it's really
bodies, arms, heads, legs all over the place. You've never seen anything like it. It's so ridiculous.
And this is only by Russian weapons against Ukraine. This had never happened with Ukraine weapons against Russia. Never. Ukraine is only targeting military targets, not civilians, not private, not energy infrastructure. So this is the difference, and that's the reason why we are trying to do more on Russia, how to stop this war.
Well, in this case, I'm talking about the battlefield, the soldiers on soldiers. But you could also say that, too, with the cities. The cities are being hit also. So it's a terrible, terrible thing. Right? Somebody said Autopen. Did I hear the word Autopen?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Because I think it's the biggest scandal maybe in the last 100 years in this country. So when I hear that word, I think it has to be discussed because the fake news will try and hide it, and we can't do that.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Have you uncovered any evidence that anything specific was signed without President Biden's knowledge or by other people in the administration acting illegally?
Well, I don't think Biden would know whether or not he signed it.
I'm asking if you've uncovered any of that information.
No, but I've uncovered, the human mind. I was in a debate with the human mind, and I didn't think he knew what the hell he was doing. So, it's just one of those things, one of those problems. We can't ever allow that to happen to our country. The danger our country was in, and I know some of the people that worked with him, radical left, horrible people. And I could give you the name of some of the people that used the Autopen, because I'm here, and I ask questions about people that were here also. There are a lot of people that were here when that happened, and they're here right now, and they'll answer your question very accurately. But I know some of the people that use that Autopen, and those are not the people that had the same ideology as Joe Biden. These were radical left lunatics that used that, and they didn't get elected. He didn't get elected either, actually. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a honor, great honor, to have a friend of mine who we've become very friendly over the last number of years. We knew each other before, but Mark is the head of NATO, Mark Rutte, Secretary General of NATO, highly respected by everybody that knows him, but in particular the European countries. They have great reliance on him, and he's done a fantastic job. And we had a tremendous meeting, I guess it's about a month ago, and I think Mark will tell you that it was really perhaps more important the date of November 5th. That was the election day. Maybe that was the most important because we made tremendous progress together. And one of the reasons that you're here today is to hear that we are very unhappy, I am, with Russia. But we'll discuss that maybe a different day. But we're very, very unhappy with them, and we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. Tariffs at about 100%. You'd call them secondary tariffs. You know what that means. But today we're going to talk about something else. And as you know, we've spent $350 billion approximately on this war with Russia and Ukraine. And would like to see it end. It wasn't my war. It was Biden's war. It's not my war. I'm trying to get you out of it. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. That can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it. But regardless, we are going to be we make the greatest military equipment in the world, whether it's missiles. You saw that recently in Iran, the way those planes flew in. They hit every single, 14 bombs hit every target. Then you had the helicopters shoot a total of 30 bombs, 30 missiles, and they hit every single, Marco, is that right? Every single, Pete? Every single target. And it was, I guess, on a scale of 0 to 10, they say it was about a 15. That's how successful it was. That's how lethal it was, a word they like to use nowadays. But it was an amazing, well-organized attack that people in this country want to do for 24 years. You know, when we had the pilots in last week, they were saying, sir, we've been practicing this for 24 years, meaning people, not them, but other people that are a little older now. But they too, and you were the one that let us do it. But we've been practicing it 3 to 4 times a year for 22, 24 years, because they always knew they had to stop Iran from doing what they were doing, which is trying to come up with a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb. And we did it very successfully. And we make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best of everything. The European nations know that. And we've made a deal today, and I'm going to have Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We are not buying it, but we will manufacture it and they're going to be paying for it. Our last meeting of a month ago was very successful in that they agreed to 5%, which is more than $1 trillion a year, so they have a lot of money. And these are wealthy nations. They have a lot of money, and they want to do it. They feel very strongly about it, and we feel strongly about it, too. But we're in for a lot of money, and we don't want to do anymore, and we can't. But we make the best, and we're going to be sending the best to NATO, and in some cases to maybe, at Mark's suggestion, if we go to Germany, where they're going to send early on missiles, and they'll be replaced, and NATO is going to take care of it. It's going to be coordinated by NATO, and they're going to work very much with Matt Whitaker, who's right here, who's a great ambassador, and Matt's going to be coordinating. You better do a good job, Matt.
I will.
But Matt's going to coordinate. He's a very talented guy. He's going to coordinate everything. So in a nutshell, we're going to make top-of-the-line weapons, and they'll be sent to NATO. NATO may choose to have certain of them sent to other countries where we can get a little additional speed, where the country will release something and it'll be mostly in the form of a replacement. And I'd like to have Mark, and again, just a highly respected, pretty young guy for having had the career that he's had, because he had an amazing career before going to NATO. So we spent a lot of time together over the last couple of months. And if you could say a few words.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, Mr. President, dear Donald, this is really big. This is really big. You called me on Thursday that you had taken a decision. And the decision is that you want Ukraine what it needs to have to maintain, to be able to defend itself against Russia, but you do want Europeans to pay for it, which is totally logical. And this is building on the tremendous success of the NATO summit. The 5%, but also the decision to keep Ukraine strong and the decision to increase our defense industrial production. So based on that, that was Europe stepping up. This is again Europeans stepping up. So I've been in contact with many countries. I can tell you that at this moment, Germany massively, but also Finland and Denmark and Sweden and Norway, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Canada. They all want to be part of this, and this is only the first wave. There will be more. So what we will do is work through the NATO systems to make sure that we know what Ukrainians need, so that we can make packages. Of course, in a way, we discussed it this morning with Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, in a way that, of course, the US will keep on its stockpiles necessary to defend this country. That's absolutely clear. But it will mean that Ukraine can get its hands on really massive numbers of military equipment, both for air defense, but also missiles, ammunition, etc., etc. So if I was Vladimir Putin today and hear you speaking about what you are planning to do in 50 days and this announcement, I would reconsider whether I should not take negotiations about Ukraine more seriously than I was doing at the moment, if I was Vladimir Putin. But when I'm Ukraine, I think this is really great news for them. So I really want to thank you for that, and it means the Europeans paying for it. And again, I mentioned all these countries, we will deal with that. And exactly as you said, it might also mean that countries will move equipment fast into Ukraine, and then the US later backfilling it, because speed is of the essence here. So really, thank you. This is important.
You did a great job. It's a really great job. We've been very successful in settling wars. You have India, Pakistan, you have Rwanda and the Congo. That was going on for 30 years. India, by the way, and Pakistan would have been a nuclear war within another week, the way that was going. That was going very badly. we did that through trade. I said, we're not going to talk to you about trade unless you get this thing settled, and they did, and they were both great leaders, and they were great. But Rwanda and the Congo, that was going on for 30 years, and at least 7 million people killed, and killed with a lot of pretty rough weapons like machetes, heads chopped off, going on for many years. You couldn't even get near the countries. Nobody wanted to get near. It's so frightening. And we got that one solved. Serbia, Kosovo, got that solved. That was going to be one that was going to happen. And again, that was something I used. I use trade for a lot of things, but it's great for settling wars. That was really very important. We're working, Marco's working very hard with everybody here on the Strip, the Gaza Strip. I call it the Gaza Strip, one of the worst real estate deals ever made. They gave up the oceanfront property, one of the worst deals ever made. But it was supposed to bring peace, and it didn't bring peace. It brought the opposite. But we're doing pretty well on Gaza. Steve Witkoff is here, and I think we could have something fairly soon to talk about. And we solved other one. One that we just seem to have, Armenia and Azerbaijan. It looks like that's going to come to a conclusion, successful conclusion. We worked on Egypt with a next-door neighbor who is a good neighbor. They're friends of mine, but they happened to build a dam which closed up water going into a thing called the Nile. I think if I'm Egypt, I want to have water in the Nile, and we're working on that one. It's a problem, but it's going to get solved. They built one of the biggest dams in the world, a little bit outside of Egypt. You know about that? You've been hearing about that one. And that turned out to be a big problem. I don't know. I think the United States funded the dam. I don't know why they didn't solve the problem before they built the dam. But it's nice when the Nile River has water. It's a very important source of income and life. It's the life of Egypt. And to take that away is pretty incredible. But we think we're going to have that solved very quickly. So we do good. The only one we haven't been able to get to yet is Russia. And I'm not happy. And I will tell you that Ukraine wants to do something. Again, it's a war that should have never started. If I were president, it never would have happened. I used to speak to President Putin about it a lot. It was the apple of his eye. But once I saw what was going on, I said, they're gonna have a war here. I was outside. The election was rigged. And I was outside looking in. And I said, that thing's going to be a war. Couldn't believe it, because what Biden said was the exact opposite of what should have been said. And it started, and it's a real mess. We're losing, I guess they're losing 5,000 or 6,000 people a day. It's actually now more. I was saying 5,000 a day. It's actually more now. Mostly soldiers, but a lot of people in cities and towns that are getting blown up too. It's a horrible war, and it should be stopped. And so if it's not done, if we don't have an agreement in 50 days, that's what we're doing, secondary tariffs. And they're biting. And I hope we don't get to the point where we do, but I've been hearing so much talk. It's all talk. It's all talk, and then missiles go into Kiev and kill 60 people. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. But the purpose of this is to say that this is a very big deal we've made. This is billions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, etc. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. Ukraine will take it up. And, say what you want about Ukraine. When the war started, they had no chance. And they still would have had no chance if the equipment, they had the best equipment, because we do make the best planes and missiles, and we make the best military equipment in the world by far. And we have new things coming out that are beyond belief. And I'm very excited about the Golden Dome. It's going to give us very strong protection. We've already started that. But they had courage, because somebody has to use that equipment. And they fought with tremendous courage, and they continue to fight with tremendous courage. But they don't have, they're losing on equipment, and Russia's really taken a very positive, very strong, what they've done the last couple of weeks.
Without military reasons. So what they are doing is 700 drones a day, missiles, bombing cities. This is not because of military goals. It is just creating panic,
hitting
keeping people
towns.
out of their sleeps, hitting towns. It's really terrible, and it is meaning a lot of people lose their lives, but also the infrastructure, whole cities being
Well, they're
destroyed.
wiping out the electric. It's going to take years to rebuild it. That's going to be the next problem. Because, but that's going to take a long time. Cities, many of the cities are knocked down to the ground. Many of the people have left, but many have stayed. I don't know. They actually stay. And most have stayed. Actually, it's incredible that they stay, and knowing that a missile could be hitting your apartment house, and your apartment house that you're sitting in could collapse on top of you. And they do very heavy construction. They don't use rebar. They do very thick concrete construction. Those are heavy buildings, big buildings, and heavy buildings, and they collapse like they're made out of paper. It's unbelievable to see this happening with people, so many people being killed. So we think we're going to make progress, and we hope we're going to make progress. In the meantime, we're going to get you good service on what you need. And we really became friendly with NATO this last meeting. You know, we went from 2% to 5%, which everyone said was not even a possibility. They weren't paying 2%. Many of them were paying much less than 2%.
But even those, since you became president, all committed to the 2% before the
Right.
summit.
Yeah,
And now
that's
collectively we committed to the 5%.
That's right, they did. They've been very good. And I think I made a lot of friends over there. We had a couple of days of very intensive talks. And they're great people. They're leaders of countries. Leaders of countries. Many of them great countries, some of them smaller countries, but for the most part, I'd say very solid, strong countries, and very successful. Some of them are among the most successful countries in the world. So that's the story. We hope that's going to have an impact on Vladimir Putin, and we hope it's going to have an impact on Ukraine also. We want to make sure that Ukraine does what they have to do. All of a sudden they may feel emboldened, or maybe they don't want. You know, this is a very difficult situation.
Ukraine wants a peace deal.
I think so.
And they will stay committed to that. There's no doubt. They want
Yeah.
it. But the Russians have to become
They have
serious.
to continue to want it, though.
Yeah, I agree. But
You
we
know,
will, you and I
because
will
all of
make
a
sure of
sudden-
that.
All of a sudden they get no.
But you and I will make sure of that.
We'll make sure. I feel confident that they will do what has to be done. Plus, we have certain parameters that both sides know, and we already know what should be done. So I think that's going to be it's going to be very strong. We want everlasting peace. Any questions, please? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. What was the tipping point for you in making this decision? Was it a conversation with President Putin? Was it a piece of intelligence? And why are you giving 50 more days?
I think I think it's a very short period of time. I think, don't forget, I've just really been involved in this for not very long. And it wasn't initial focus. This is a Biden war. This is a Democrat war, not a Republican or Trump war. This is a war that would have never happened. It shouldn't have happened. A lot of people being killed. When the final numbers come in, you're going to see a lot more people are being killed in this war than you think, than you've been writing about. It's a very deadly war. They're all bad, but this is a very deadly war. The numbers are going to be far greater. When an apartment house comes down, and they say 2 people were slightly injured. No, many people were killed. And those numbers will be at some point accurately reported. So far, they're not. It's a deadly war. I think that you're just going to see. I think you're going to see strong movement. I hope so. I hope so. You know, the secondary tariffs are very, very powerful.
What about the tariffs that the Republicans in the House and the Senate have read?
Yeah,
500%.
sure.
Why are you doing 100%?
Well, the Republicans are moving very strongly in the Senate, giving us total control of it. But I'm not sure we need it, but it's certainly good that they're doing it. And Lindsey Graham's working hard. The whole John Thune, all of them, they're all working hard, and they're in coordination with Mike Johnson, Speaker in the House. And I think they've actually crafted a pretty good piece of legislation. It's probably going to pass very easily, and that includes Democrats. And there's some little tweaks, but I don't want to say I don't need it because I don't want them to waste their time. It could be very useful. We'll have to see. But we can do secondary. We're probably talking about 100% or something like that. We can do secondary tariffs without the Senate, without the House. But what they're crafting also could be very good.
So are you suggesting then that the Congress should move forward with those sanctions, the 500%, and that your 100 would be a separate additional package?
Yeah, I mean, the 500 is, sort of meaningless after a while because at a certain point it doesn't matter. It's not going to be, as 100. 100 is going to serve the same function. But, yeah, I have it at 100%. They may have it, I don't know what they're going to end up with. They may have it at 100 too. They may have it at 500. But they're doing some good work in the House, and I think in the House and the Senate. And as you know, they're coordinated, and they can have it done quickly. They said they'll have it as quickly as I need it. So we'll see. We're talking to them. In fact, John Thune's coming over later on to talk. Yeah, he's gonna come over and talk.
Mr. President, is it your view that Vladimir Putin mischaracterized his dedication?
What?
Is it your view that Vladimir Putin misguided,
Did he misguide us?
Did not clarify his intention
Yeah.
to appease you?
Well,
And what happens now in the next phase?
you're going to see. I mean, we're going to go for a period of time. Maybe he'll start negotiating. And I think I felt, I don't know about you, Mark, but I felt that we had a deal about 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, still talking about
And he didn't send serious people to the negotiations. So I remember that you were able, with Marco Rubio and with Steve Witkoff, to get these talks going in Istanbul.
Yep.
I remember I was myself in Turkey for NATO business in May, and we really put pressure on the Ukrainians to send a senior team into Istanbul, and they did. But then the Russians came up with this historian explaining history of Russia since 1250.
We thought, and I thought, we should have had a deal done a long time ago. But it just keeps going on and on and on, and every night people are dying. A lot of people, a lot of Russian soldiers are dying, by the way, and a lot of Ukrainian soldiers too. But a lot of Russian soldiers are dying.
100,000 Russian soldiers since 1st of January. Since January. 100,000 Russian soldiers dead since January. So if anybody in Moscow is listening to this, again, 100,000 dead Russians since January. This is what President Putin is doing at the moment.
Yeah, please.
Will these be Patriot missiles specifically or Patriot batteries that you're planning?
Everything. It's everything. It's Patriots. It's all of them. It's a full complement with the batteries. Yeah.
When do you expect them to arrive?
Well, we're going to have some come very soon, within days, actually. Because a couple of the countries that have Patriots are going to swap over and will replace the Patriots with the ones they have. And Matt will coordinate with NATO. But so it's going to be, they're going to start arriving very soon.
And this afternoon, Boris Pistorius, the German defense minister, is visiting Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and we'll discuss also, I think, on this whole Patriot thing. Norway is involved, so that's on the Patriots, but this whole deal is also about missiles, about ammunition, so it's broader than Patriots.
We have one country that has 17 Patriots getting ready to be shipped. They're not going to need them for them. So we're going to work a deal where the 17 will go, or a big portion of the 17 will go to the war side.
Mr. President.
And that can be done very quickly.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
Could this transaction with NATO be viewed as a step towards achieving peace, letting Putin know that now Zelensky has a little bit more powerful tools in his tool chest, and maybe that brings him to the table to achieve peace? I know that you want to do that.
Brian, that's what we've been saying. I think you might have expressed it better if you want another two. That's exactly what.
That was a summary.
That was a nice summary. I think he's done better than us. He's a very good guy. I can tell you that. But no, it's well said. Yeah, I think this is a chance at getting peace, or it's just going to be the same thing. And I have to tell you, Europe has a lot of spirit for this war. A lot of people, when I first got involved, I really didn't think they did, but they do. And I saw that a month ago when you were there, many of you were there. The level of esprit de corps, spirit that they have is amazing. They really think it's a very, very important thing to do, or they wouldn't be doing it. Look, they're agreeing to, they're paying for everything. We're not paying anymore. We have an ocean separating us. I said, we have a problem. We make the best stuff, but we can't keep doing this. And Biden should have done this years ago. He should have done it from the beginning, but he didn't. He didn't know he was there. This guy, what a horrible job they did for this country. And I just hope between the border and this and so many other inflation, what a horrible administration. The worst administration in history, in my opinion. It's not my opinion. I think it's everybody's opinion. But this is something that shouldn't have happened, and we're going to see if we can end it.
If I can follow up.
I do want to make one statement. Again, I said it before. This is not Trump's war. We're here to try and get it finished and settled and whatever. Because nobody wins with this. This is a loser from every standpoint.
But from day
This
one,
was Biden and this was other people. And it's very sad. It's a very sad situation. This gentleman's doing a great job. I think he's going to get it, and Matt and everybody else that's working on it. I think he'll get this thing over with, hopefully.
You've praised European countries today as standing up for Ukraine as being strong. Will you allow them to continue to negotiate tariffs lower than 30% before August 1st, or is the deal set?
What does that mean? You mean you're talking about the tariffs? Oh, you're back on tariffs. You're on a more friendly tariff, right? A little bit more friendly tariff. No, we're going to be talking to people. We have, I watched a show this morning. They were talking about, well, when's he going to make the deal? The deals are already made. The letters are the deals. The deals are made. There are no deals to make. They would like to do a different kind of a deal, and we're always open to talk. We are open to talk, including to Europe. In fact, they're coming over. They'd like to talk to us.
Mr. President, is there any concern about the U.S. stockpiles? There was a pause in delivery of weaponry to Ukraine in order to evaluate, apparently, U.S. stockpiles. What came out of that?
Evaluation. I mean, this was a very big, what we're talking about today is a very, very big day. And what Pete was doing, and me too, I knew what Pete was doing, was evaluation, because we knew this was going to happen. And now we actually announced it. They voted on it. It's all been done. So obviously that has a big impact on, when you say pause, obviously you're not going to be doing things if you don't know what's going to happen here. But we were pretty sure this was going to happen, so we did a little bit of a pause. But this is a very big, event today. This is something very big.
If it escalates further, how far are you willing to go in response?
In what?
How far are you willing to go if you were to escalate, send more bombs?
Don't ask me a question like that. How far? I don't know. I want to get the war settled. They're not Americans that are dying in it, and I have a problem, and JD has a problem. It's a stance that he's had for a long time. They're not Americans dying, but there are a lot of people dying, and on something that should be able to be settled, and we all agree with that. This group of people, that, we want to defend our country, but ultimately, having a strong Europe is a very good thing. It's a very good thing. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, please, in the back.
Yeah, is there a ceiling on what the Europeans are willing to pay for? And it sounds like, are you ruling out the U.S. paying from the conditional weapons to withdraw that authority?
Shall I try to answer that? Because basically what the president is saying, that he is willing, of course, taking consideration what the U.S. needs itself. So it's not that you can have a shopping list and you can order whatever you want, because the U.S. has to make sure that the U.S. keeps his hand on what the U.S. needs, also to keep the whole world safe, because in the end you are the police agent of the whole world. You are the most powerful nation on earth, the most powerful military on earth. But given that, the U.S. has decided to indeed massively supply Ukraine with what is necessary through NATO. Europeans 100% paying for that. And what we have been doing over the last couple of days is talking with countries, and I just mentioned the ones who in the first wave immediately said, we want to chip in. And then you are really talking about big numbers. Take Germany visiting today. They are really talking about big numbers.
I will say that I spoke with Germany, spoke with most of the larger countries, and they are really enthusiastic about this. They want to, and they're willing to go very far. I will tell you, as per your question, how far would I go? They want to go very far. They don't want this to happen. That's why I think from Putin's standpoint, it would really be good. He gets the country, his economy is doing very poorly, and he's got to get his economy back. He's got to save his economy. He could save his country in a sense, but the economy can be destroyed. He's destroyed a lot of countries over the years. He wants to get that economy back. And, he's got a great country for trading and other things. If they could use the assets instead of war, he's got some tremendous potential. That's what I would say.
How did you deliver this news to Putin, sir?
Say?
How did you tell Putin this was coming?
I speak to him a lot. about getting this thing done. And I always hang up and say, well, that was a nice phone call. And then missiles are launched into Kiev or some other city. And I said, it's strange. And after that happens 3 or 4 times, you say, the talk doesn't mean anything. My conversations with him are always very pleasant. I say, isn't that a very lovely conversation? And then the missiles go off that night. I go home, I tell the First Lady, I spoke to Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. So it's like, look, he's, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy. It's been proven over the years. He's fooled a lot of people. He fooled Bush. He fooled a lot of people. He fooled Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. He didn't fool me. But what I do say is that at a certain point, ultimately talk doesn't talk. It's got to be action. It's got to be results. And I hope he does it. It's potentially such a great country to be wasting so many people on this and the money. And look at what's happened to his economy. Look at what's happened. So,
and with the threat in 50 days,
yeah,
the economy will be hit very hard.
I mean, look, I hope he's going to do it. He knows the deal. He knows what a fair deal is. If there is such a thing as a fair deal, there's no winners here. This is a loser. This is a loser. And I dealt with him from the beginning. It wouldn't have happened, but I will say Ukraine was the apple of his eye. We talk about it. It was the apple of his eye, but it wasn't going to happen. And he understood that. It wasn't going to happen. And then I noticed, after I was out, I noticed soldiers forming at the border.
Yeah.
And then I heard horrible, stupid things being said from the other side. And I said, they're really handling it very, very wrong. It's a shame. Yeah.
Can I add one thing, and that is about President Trump, because you came in office in January. On the 12th of February, you had your first phone call with Putin. I think you did exactly what I hoped you would do. That is breaking the deadlock, starting the conversation, because you have to test him. I know Putin very well from the days when I was Prime Minister in the Netherlands. You have to test him. And you did this, and you really gave him a chance to be serious, to get to the table, to start negotiations. Steve Witkoff, Marco Rubio, we all tried to help you. But you've now come to a point where you say, well, hey...
We actually thought we had probably 4 times a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you were called and you said,
yeah,
this looks good.
Yeah.
And then the deal wouldn't happen because bombs would be thrown out that night and you'd say, we're not making any deals. It was like...
But you breaking the deadlock was crucial because you had to start that process. And you were the only one who was able to do that.
I think we'll get it done.
Do you think he's reasonable enough to negotiate?
Yeah, I think we're going to get it done. I think, look, this is a very powerful situation. You have very wealthy countries buying the best equipment in the world. And we have the best equipment in the world. We make equipment like no other. Our submarines, nuclear submarines, are so powerful. They're the most powerful weapon ever built. And we have the best in the world they're 20 years behind, 25 years behind us. We have the greatest equipment anywhere in the world. I just hope we don't have to use it. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On a separate topic here, President Biden, of all people, spoke to the New York Times over the weekend. He did not speak to them on the record during his time in office at all, but spoke to them recently. And he defended his use of the AutoPen and said that he signed off on every decision. But at the same time, the Times reports that he did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applies to large numbers of people. What are your take on that? Any new revelations from
Well, I mean, you're talking about the AutoPen. Look, the AutoPen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of see that desk, that Resolute desk? Unfortunately, he used it before me. But, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful. But I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it. So they're going to figure it out, and we'll see what happens. But to me, the AutoPen, you elected president. You know what the AutoPen is supposed to do? Sign thousands of letters from young people that write. We get thousands of letters a week, Susie, right? Thousands. I mean, tens of thousands sometimes. I look at a room, there's a room where we have many, many people working, responding and sending letters back. That's what an AutoPen's supposed to be. To write to a young 7-year-old boy that writes to the president and he wants to be president someday and he loves America. That's what the AutoPen's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be for signing major legislation and all of the things. No, the AutoPen, and I doubt he knew. I doubt they even spoke to him about it. I think they had, it's called the freewheeling AutoPen. Like, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was never for transgender for everyone. So I don't think I think the radical left people that took over the White House, and if I didn't win, our country was finished. You know, when I was in, and I said this a couple of times, I hope I don't bore you with it, but when I was in Saudi Arabia, I was in Qatar, I was in UAE, and then I met with all of your leaders, yes, including you, a great leader. He's now the leader of many countries, not just
No.
But I met with a lot of leaders over the last 2 months in the Middle East and all of the NATO countries. And I will tell you, they had one common phrase. They thought America was dead 1 year ago, and today they say, and they all say it, and I hope you'll back me up in this.